So these bones are really cool because you can break them down in that parent-child relationship I was talking about. And as you can see, if I move the torso here, it kind of deforms and morphs at the back of his neck and his chest, but the head doesn't morph with it. But the head is connected to it, and I can move the head separately. So now you can see how we can layer animation by moving different pieces at a time and having them transition from one position to another with what's called keyframes, which are these little white dots at the bottom here. This is really cool because every single angle has their own set of bones unique to that angle, which means over time we can transition from what angle of drawings you're seeing to what angle of bones are available, and you can animate them both at the same time, which is really neat because then you can do tons of really cool stuff, which you'll see later on when I show off some of the cool animation we've been doing. Now this crazy network view you see here is how we actually build our characters. These blue nodes, if I were to grab one here and kind of put it up here and shake it, if I were to grab one here and shake it around up here, that is called a drawing layer. And that's literally where the art is housed. These green layers are the pegs I was talking about, which are, you know, very similar to the pegs you put into a paper doll and make an arm joint or a hip joint or, you know, an elbow joint. And then lastly, we have what's called the deformers. And these are the actual bones that you see on the character here. These green and yellow lines that outline the bones that we're allowed to use for animation. So for instance, even on our mane here, we got a unique set of bones that we built just so we can get the mane kind of flowy and moving nicely over time. Now I'll undo that. So essentially this is what's called our base pose. So this is our full turnaround rig that can be brought into any scene now and animated using these bones. And these bones work pretty cool because if you jump into one of their groups, you'll see each angle has its own set of bones. So I got front, 3/4, profile, 3/4, back, 3/4 right, profile right, 3/4 back, and all of those make up that full turnaround that you see with our character here. Inside of these, of course, are the bones themselves. And it's literally just bone 1, bone 2, bone 3. And these things are called kinematic outputs, and I won't go into detail because those are very technical. But essentially, they allow us to ensure that the head moving with the torso, like I showed, doesn't actually morph the head like it does with the body, where it kind of stretches the armor at the back or stretches the chest at the front. It just allows the drawings to move with it, opposed to being deformed by it, so that I can move the head by itself, and it won't be affected. Now, that could be complicated. To me, it makes sense. I know these technical breakdowns are a little more for the animator side of things, but I thought it'd be neat to show the community just like what it takes to build these things. So from here, actually, we can go into some more fun stuff. As you can see, there's way more going on here than just the character. So this would be the group for my character, which has all the rigging and the bones in it. And then I have the rest of the scene that I built out with a portal and some flash effects and another character here and a mask that we use. And I'll kind of go over how those all work, but it'll be very visual and very fun. So jump ahead in our timeline here. I'm going to turn on this mask. And this is called a cutter, which essentially is what allows us to say if it's not within this mask's area. So if I turn the cutter off for a second, you'll see this big black area that's a mask. So essentially it's saying if my character is not showing in this big black area, then he's invisible. And that allows me to have this like portal transition, as you'll see in a second here. So I'm going to turn the cutter back on. You'll see that black thing disappear. And you'll also see my character disappear. So now we know that he's standing there, but you can't see him because he hasn't quite come through the portal yet. Just going to throw my timeline a bit smaller here. So now that he's hidden behind the portal and you can't see him, we've got that mask layer using this derp mask and this cutter, keeping him hidden until he approaches the portal. You can see how that kind of works. He'll step out through the portal and become visible. So first his leg walks through, then we have his leg or the rest of his torso catch up. And then he's going to pull himself through. Ah! And then here, I'll make it a bit bigger for everybody to see. And what I love about this, especially when you can work in the work view, is that you can actually see the bones all working and how they're deforming the drawings that we made, one by one. And you'll also notice a kind of a little cartoon cheat that we use, which is when I'm revealing the leg here, that the leg's actually detached from the character, and he kind of peeks it through, and then when it needs to catch up, the body snaps over, and he can pull the rest of himself through. Really struggling against that portal, and pull himself out, to a nice settle and stop. So you can see all the moving parts here now. You can see how the bones all work with each other, how you can move one bone and the other pieces move with that bone, how you can add things like little flourishes and bounces and settles like of the hair or the tail. And you can get a lot of cheats that you can use to try and get this animation out to the viewer. Because at the end of the day, what really matters is just an image sequence of these images moving one after another. So let's turn off the bones and let's just watch that animation start to finish. Portal opens, leg pops through, pulls himself, a little bit of a settle, bit of a struggle, and then pulls himself all the way through again. I always found animation interesting because it's like making a movie, but you've also got to make your actors. You've also got to make your sets. You've also got to make your lighting. You've also got to make your textures, your colors. You literally make everything start to finish. And it's always been kind of magical to me in that respect because it's like a whole world you own. And before, back in the day, it would have been stacks and stacks of papers at Disney, but this is all housed within one piece of software, allowing me to build a whole world with all my own actors who are never late, you know, always on time, always reliable, you know. And then we get to do a lot more fun stuff on behind the scenes. We get the voice actors involved, and they start bringing life to these characters. And it all comes together in such a unique way of seeing a static piece of art suddenly have life breathed into it by someone sitting at a computer for, well, a lot of hours.
Yeah, you said it.
So it's neat because there's technically 12 principles of animation, including things like stretch, squash, anticipation, arcs, all these different little design tricks that the veterans of Disney back in the day kind of figured out. And there's actually an amazing book called the Animation Bible, or the Animated Survival Kit, sorry. And it's a beautiful, beautiful book. It's got a lot of breakdowns of walk cycles and jumps and like how fat would move on the belly with kind of like skewed timing, so that while the person's stepping down, it's still moving up a little and then settling and bouncing a bit. And there's all these really neat rules to animation you got to kind of know, and they kind of become inherent in your work over time as you start seeing better and better animation and start practicing more and more. In this case, we have this guy coming through, and let's just focus on this part where he actually pulls his head through. He gets a bit of a pop at the top there, and his head and his hair and his horn kind of bounce, and his ears bounce up and settle back down. And that's kind of that anticipation and settling that you need to kind of get an actual smooth looking movement that doesn't stop on a hard stop and feel kind of robotic. And a lot of that is easy to do now thanks to these bones and these deformers that we have. Now things like his mouth and his eye, those are actually just changing drawings. So essentially I have one drawing of the mouth closed, a second drawing with the mouth kind of gritting his teeth, and at the right moment during the movement, I snap to another drawing. Now I actually have 3 there to really make the mouth look like it's opening. 1, 2, and then 3. And it goes a long way into kind of really showing that growth of his mouth, and it gives that kind of faked effect like I actually use a deformer or something to grow it and stretch it and skew it to open it. So that's a quick breakdown on the animation basics of what we do, where we've come with our animation, and what our kind of style and our animation is going to look like for Unicorn Detective Agency. And I'm really stoked to actually show this off and kind of present it to you guys in this way and show you all the effort behind the scenes that goes into building these things. Now we're going to do some more fun stuff. There's more animation to this scene, which I'm going to show a little off of. And then I got some more characters too. Any questions from anybody watching? How about you, Tegan? You got anything you want to know? Alright then. So essentially what we've got going here, down on past this part, is this fun little snort. And this is where we got into a bit more like frame by frame animation. I actually had to go through and draw the nose expanding and opening, and then the smoke kind of snorting out of his nose. And we also did a fun little like breathe in through his mouth and kind of squint as he's doing it. But if you break it down frame by frame, it's actually what? If you break it down frame by frame, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different drawings. And that's just doing it kind of the traditional Disney way, where frame by frame I went and drew each one in. And animation nowadays is kind of a mix of the two. It's the cutout style using the puppets, as well as layering over top of it this kind of frame by frame animation for things like special effects, things like weather effects too, or even snorts and smoke and fire and all that kind of stuff. So it's also usable in these rigs as well. So if I wanted the head to do something very unique that the rig can't actually let me, I could actually go into here and I could change and manipulate this drawing in individual and unique ways in order to get crazy things going on, you know. So let's watch this whole thing now start to finish. Now this one is where we introduced another character. This is actually Flick Rogers. This isn't his full rig. You've probably seen him in some of our NFTs. He's actually got eyes and arms and everything, but for the purpose of this, he was so small, I just made this little tiny rig. And it's kind of cool because he's got his flapping wings too. Going there, and his legs kind of move with the flap and everything, and his hair kind of jostles with the flap. And we'll zoom out a little more so you get a better view. So yeah, this was just like a repeating loop of an animation of him kind of floating up and down, and then we used that to kind of make the rest of the animation with Flynn. And again, this is more that traditional style, frame by frame. Alright, so that's my start to finish area. I'm going to hit play here and let you guys just watch it. It's a really fun one. I like this one. And of course, it just loops. I'm trying to make these into kind of nice bite-sized loops so they're good for Instagram and Twitter, and as well as making stickers and stuff for our Discord. So yeah, that was a lot of fun, having Flick coming in and smacking him. Flick is technically our team's kind of badass. He's kind of a good fighter. He's good at espionage, and I mean, he's a little fly. He's super good at espionage.
He's just so freaking cute.
He really is. I wish I had his full rig ready for this animation and then haven't, so you could zoom in and see him kind of like glaring at Flynn. But yeah, I just wanted to do something quick as a tester here. All right, let's jump ahead. So the next animation is a lot more complex. So what I did here is I wanted to really show off the character in his full-fledged, full use of a rig for a jumping motion. And as you see the blue line, there's my arc, and I'll explain that in more detail. Just got to make sure I have all my layers showing. See if I got... Yeah, see, I have some layers not showing. Just a sec, guys. Alright, so I'll let this run for you guys, and you'll see just how robust these rigs can be, considering how simple they really are. And so that's just using all of those drawings, all those different character turnaround angles in the 360 rig. There's no custom animations here. There's no frame-by-frame animations here. It's literally just using the pegs, like I mentioned earlier, which are like the pins in a paper doll, as well as those deformers that we have in order to animate all of it. So yeah, I'm going to break down this a little because this one's a bit more complicated. There's a lot more moving parts. There's a lot more changes and drawing changes and stuff that you'll see, and angle changes during the whole movement of his jump. Now again, talking to those 12 principles of animation, the kind of the anticipation and the final launch here, he kind of anticipates his movement, moves down, and you'll notice a big jump change straight into the jump, because the faster a movement is, the less drawings you have to use. And in this case, he also gets his nice land where he settles out and comes back up. And then he jumps back the other way to land for the full loop. And all those bones go a long way in creating 90% of that animation. And then I just have to do a second pass over top to make the mouth changes, the eye changes, make his eyebrows and stuff move. And things like adding the tail, where it kind of like swoops with him, around him, and then tries to settle nicely. And as much as I would have loved it to be just repeatable and then reverse the frames from the land, you actually can't, because the motion's totally different from landing to jumping forward. So I actually had to redo all the animation for the second jump instead of just copy paste and reversed. Otherwise, it would have felt like it's being sped up in reverse. It wouldn't have felt like he's actually jumping. It's an interesting kind of trick of the eye. Yeah, so that jump was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun. I feel it kind of really shows off what we're going to be capable of in our animated series, even as a rough tester. I'm pretty stoked at how far we can push these really simple rigs. I do want to mention, we actually chose a simple cartoon style, easier for a smaller team to produce because of how expensive animation can get if you're pushing things too far. Like, we're not going to be Rick and Morty at all, but we will try to at least be on par with Adventure Time and maybe a little bit above. Based on our sets and our world and the art that Nat's been doing, I think it's just a bit of a step up from their animation level. But yeah, we really wanted to keep it simple and short and easy to do. So not only that our show will be easy to produce by a small team and be more realistic, but also so that our animated expanded universe and their shorts are also easy to make and allow our team to kind of learn the ropes of starting production from script to screen with you guys, while not being overburdened by really complicated character rigs and really complicated environments and stuff like that. So we're pretty stoked on that idea, and that is also something I just wanted to make sure I voiced, because I know a lot of people are like, animation's hard, how are you going to achieve this? Well, we actually chose to scale back what we're doing intentionally to fit what we're trying to do specifically. Like, we've got a whole library of assets in animation already, as I'm showing off right now. You can also see tons more, say, on our Instagram. You can check out our TikTok, too. All of them show for the last couple... Well, TikTok's brand new, but Instagram goes back years, all the way to our first animation, which I think even Tegan knows about, which was Lost Hope, which is my first sci-fi I wanted to make.
Yep, that's still in the back burner. It'll be made someday, I hope.
Oh yeah, I remember when you started putting your first pictures for that out.
Yeah, actually, we had our trailer that we made in 2014 reanimated now with our better skills and our better software, and we put it on our YouTube channel. So you actually go watch the latest Lost Hope trailer. It's kind of like Archer meets Battlestar Galactica is what we were going for that one.
Yeah.
Aw, yeah. And again, that shows off a little more of what we've done for that show, too. We have all the character rigs for that show. We have all the character rigs for Unity 1. We have all the character rigs for Beat Monsters. We have all the character rigs for all of the shows that you can see on twitchpixel.com that we've already built out, and a bunch of work done on the script and story side, ready to kind of make these all happen. But we decided to use Unicorn Dick as like our launch board, kind of like our flagship product. And if we can make the NFT thing work, we'll use it kind of as a baseboard to make all of our other shows work. And everyone can start being involved in owning shots and scenes and concept art and NFTs of these characters and crazy situations from all of our animated series. But first things first, let's get Unicorn Dick up and running. And we call it Unicorn Dick at the office, by the way.
Yeah, what a great name.
I don't think I'm ever going to stop calling it Unicorn Dick.
Right? Well, they are still Unicorn Dick Investigations. Like, that's the name of their offices in the show. So
That's just not the name of the show.
Yeah. The only reason we had to change that is because both Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok wouldn't let us put ads up because the word dick was in our stuff.
Ah.
Right?
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh man, I was so frustrated for a while. I'm like, why do these keep getting turned off? And then someone actually reached out to me. It's like, you realize the word dick is why you're not getting any ads.
The word dick is flagged on Facebook.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for all the guys named Richard now.
Only if they're wieners.
Ah!
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's the kind of humor that's going to be in the show. Plus tons more. It's a social satire overall, I think. I'm really stoked on that side of things. Hello, everyone! Welcome to our live stream today with the Voice Actor Roundtable. I am Jeff Salmonin.
I'm Natalie Harvey, and we are Twitch Pixel Studios.
Yes, we are an indie animation studio working our asses off for the last 20 years together as both a couple and a studio, trying to make awesome comics, awesome animations, live action, and we've been doing all this indie on our own, and we're growing an audience now. Today we have some awesome voice actors coming on our roundtable. We are a studio focused on doing things differently in animation. We're leveraging new technologies, we're leveraging the crowd, and we're leveraging our community to build an expanded universe of shorts around our shows that they all take part in telling stories in. And so check out twitchpixel.com, join our Discord, come ask us questions. Me and Natalie are always live in Discord. We'd love to have you there. That's right. And speaking of helping awesome new artists, up-and-coming indie studios get recognition and kind of get noticed in this new climate of animation, we have a special guest this morning for our pre-show. Her name is Sylvia. She actually started in Vancouver and made her way back down to Columbia, working the industry in animation and learning animation in Vancouver, and has moved back home to kind of found her animation studio, Lucy Animation. Let me bring Sylvia up here with us. Hello, how are you doing today?
Hello, it's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yes, of course. I mean, we came across you guys. You were very forthcoming. You're very interested in kind of the new way of doing animation and trying to get recognition in Latin America, as well as like Natalie, as some of our fans know, Natalie and I are actually working on moving to Panama at the beginning of next month, or end of next month, I should say. So we're moving downward to try and save money and buy back our time from society so we can focus on animation and make our company happen. And that kind of led us to you. And you guys are doing a lot of awesome stuff. We love what we saw on your trailer. We're going to show some of your stuff in just a second here. But why don't you just tell us a bit about your adventure from Vancouver down to there and how you guys ended up founding your studio in Colombia?
Thank you so much for that awesome presentation. I studied classical animation. I won a full scholarship at Vancouver Film School. I studied there, then I moved to Mexico City. I worked as lead animator in a show, Pig Got Banana Cricket from Nickelodeon. And then I focused on my dream, which was to build my own studio in Bogota, Colombia, which here we don't have a huge animation industry. So my goal and my mission in life, I think, it was to gather together a really cool team of artists and do great, awesome animations with a unique style and talk from the art. We really believe we can change the world through art and through animation, because animation, you can build any awesome universe you can imagine and make it real. So for me, it's kind of magical. Working very hard. Yeah.
Fully. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of because to me, it's interesting. I love traditional art, and me and Natalie do lots of drawing and stuff too, but that stage between taking a static drawing and breathing life, motion, weight, and anticipation and stuff into it, at the end of the day, I even my own animation, I look back and I'm kind of spellbound by wow, that used to just be a static image,
Yeah, it's like bringing life where there were no life. It's like playing kind of God in a fun and beautiful way. So yeah, it's awesome. I love animation. I'm in love with this, and we are making our coming through, working really hard on it. You may know.
Yeah, time consuming. It's a laborious, arduous endeavor, but it's worth every second. And speaking of all the awesome artists that you guys have come together, these guys do some amazing work. I'm actually going to show a clip right now. It's their demo reel. It shows off a bunch of their awesome animations that they've done over the years. So we'll be back in just a second. Just take a look at their awesome work right here. Mind blown.
Wow.
Yay!
Wow, it's amazing. Just like we can see the culture influence and the colors and the style that you guys have. You have your own unique style of animation as well. Like it's the fluid motion in your transitions between objects and physical size and shape. You guys have got down to a T, which is really hard to track in animation. Just congratulations and kudos on all the hard work you guys have been doing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been, and what I've been trying to do with the team is to like make real the magical realism, like the narrative of magical realism. So this is what we've been doing all this time, and we love that. And what I think is with animation, you can break all the obstacles of reality of space and time. So it's
Yeah.
like
You can
going
cheat
towards
a lot.
yeah, exactly. And you can do morphing. We love morphing, as you could see.
Yeah. Yeah. So what softwares do you guys focus on?
What? Sorry, what?
What software do you guys use?
We use Toon Boom Harmony.
Just like us. Yep.
Ah,
Same with
nice.
us too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
we're starting to
Mhm.
move into the Unreal Engine too and trying to do the hybrid between the two now. And I think you guys are looking at doing some more real-time stuff as well too, right?
Real time. How? Sorry.
Like real-time production pipelines, like real-time lighting and stuff in animation that we're pushing towards.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We are focusing on that now, and it's been like Toon Boom is an awesome software. Like we love it, and
Yeah.
it's the best one we've ever used. So we fell in love with it, and we are using it every time in every project.
Canadian made too, right out of Quebec.
Of course. Awesome.
Yeah. So so now that you're back down in Latin America, I know you kind of worked your way down from Vancouver through Mexico, worked on a bunch of stuff before you landed back home in Colombia, and now you guys are starting to kind of find your feet there. But there's been a lot of struggle and there's been some challenges. You want to kind of touch a bit on some of the challenges you guys have faced?
Yeah, like in Colombia itself, we don't have, as I said before, we don't have like a consolidated industry. So, and I think there's a struggle because, and you can see it usually, like there's no usually Latin American directors or art directors. Like there are no heads of productions here. So there's been a phenomenon, well, where they gives the outsourcing stuff only, like if we were like or all, only outsourcing animation robots, as I like to
Yeah.
talk about it. And it's been hard like to convince them like we actually can be heads of production, we can direct, we can do like awesome worlds. So lately what I've been thinking on is to find a way, as you guys are doing it, which I think is awesome, of independency. Like you only depend on yourself and on
Yeah.
what you do and your own projects and your own goals without depending on of a executive or a contact, or I don't know. That's
Yeah.
the struggle we have been
I
feeling.
think that I think the future of animation is kind of uncertain right now, but we're pushing into a kind of a new era of indie animation taking over. I mean, Netflix just had a big debacle where a lot of the animation studios got axed because of the loss of subscribers. And I think indies with the new technology, like Unreal Engine, like Toon Boom Harmony, are enabling smaller teams to do quality work, like cinema quality work, with a very passionate, intimate team. And so we're going to start seeing animation not just for kids anymore, not catered just to adults, but we're going to see experimentation in animation. I think it's going to change everything. And you guys kind of had a kind of a boon in your pocket of the last like a year, and you had an advantage that you got to partner with Marvel on a cool little project, didn't you? You want to talk a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, of course. We started to work with Marvel like 4 years ago, and we did an episode that was called "The Man Thing" of a mini series they had on YouTube, which was TLDR. And then we meet them. We met Noah Sterling, which is an awesome Marvel producer, and we became really close. And then one day he told me about a project of X-Men, and I was like, oh my god, I love X-Men. It's like my favorite comic and my favorite Marvel stuff. So I was like, of course, yeah. And it was awesome because they gave us a lot of freedom, like creative freedom, which we love, and all the transition and the narrative, all the content shown in the little clip. It's short, but we did everything we could to make it the most awesome thing like we've done. So yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
It was an awesome
I
project.
think it's phenomenal. We're going to actually show it just in a second here, but I have to say, number one, you got to put Gambit in, which was awesome because I love Gambit. He's one of my favorites.
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
seeing your art style applied to the X-Men, in fact, I would love to see a show in that art style because I
Yeah.
really love what you guys did here. So why don't we take a look at this awesome short they did for Marvel by Lucy Animation. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sylvia. Everyone go and check out. I have their link up on the screen right now. Check them out. Follow them around the web. Find them on Twitter. Support them. Let's grow a community around them as well as us. Let's push indie animation together forward into the future. Again, Sylvia, thank you so much for finding us and reaching out. I'm so stoked that we get to do this, and we will see you soon.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Such a great invitation. I would be really happy to be here anytime you like. And it's lovely to meet you. Let's be in contact,
Awesome.
please.
Awesome.
Yes,
Bye. We'll see you
definitely.
later, everyone. Check out Lucy Animation and check out this X-Men video.
All mutants. Do you ever feel like you don't quite fit in? Are you worried that your incredible powers make you a danger to yourself and others, and the authorities agree? Then why don't you move to Krakoa? Located wherever it wants to be, Krakoa is a living island, one that has graciously agreed to become a new paradise for the world's mutants. Old enemies have come together for the good of all mutants, like Professor Charles Xavier and Magneto. Even Mr. Sinister is a member, and he hasn't even manipulated any of our DNA yet. Well, that we know of. Krakoa is dedicated to being accessible to every single mutant. If you need help getting here, our pirate captain, Kate Pride, and her band of marauders will come and extract you from anywhere in the world. Once you're finally here, party with your fellow mutants at the Green Lagoon, or take up some sparring practice in the quarry. If you want the simple life, take up farming like Glob to help provide for your fellow mutants. But if it's excitement you crave, join the X-Men on missions all over the world and in space to stop threats to mutant kind. Does that sound too dangerous? Don't worry about it. Come to the Arbor Magna where we can clone you and download all your memories into the clone. So it will be like you never shed this mortal coil at all. Krakoa, the best place to be a mutant.
Wow, just wow. Like that animation style, the way the characters are drawn, the texture to the animation style, there's just so much weight there. So beautiful, eh?
Gambit.
Gambit.
Yes.
Gambit. So everybody, this is Michael Murphree. He is one of our content producers, one of our artists, one of our creators, and one of our longest supporters of me and Nat, just not only at Twitch Pixel Studios, but as a personal friend.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream again, Mike. It's awesome to always
Hey.
have you.
It's awesome to be here and be on this ride for you guys. I'm super
That's right.
stoked.
That's right. So we've got a bunch of guests coming up here, don't we?
A bunch of them.
A bunch of them. That's right. I'm pretty
In
stoked
fact,
on
who's
it,
our
too.
first one?
That's right. Yeah, this should be a lot of fun for everybody. We're starting to grow as a studio. Me and Natalie have been doing this for a long time. We really want to grow artists in general. We've helped Mike kind of express himself and get himself more excited about art. We're all about inspiration, and we want to build that community. So make sure you check out our Discord. Check out twitchpixel.com if you want to learn more about us first. You can find our Discord here as well. And it really is about nurturing a community of creativity. So come find us, ask us questions about animation, anything you want. It's really what it's all about for us.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, so we've got a bunch of guests coming up here. But first, Mike, you've got a project going on now, too. Why don't you talk about a little bit of Sellsword Arts?
Oh, Sellsword. So I've known my buddy David since we were 7 years old, and while I went off to video games, he went to film and theater school to learn choreography and fight scenes, and he's been using all different types of weapons and getting training for over 20 years now, and he talked about wanting to start a channel. So 2 years ago, he just started that on TikTok, and then we decided, since I had some experience in YouTube, to move that over to YouTube, and it's crazy. In about a year now, we're over 500,000 on YouTube, and all we do is we're super nerds. We just love to take characters from video games and animation and all the things that we love, and give it like give fight choreography, like Mortal Kombat, for instance, the treatment that we feel it deserves. Definitely taking inspiration from Daredevil in that hallway scene and doing these this combat in one shot to show the beauty of it, rather than cut on action where you kind of lose the cohesiveness of what's going on. So just super stoked to, well, we're gonna come out to Dagger Deep and do some stuff there. So that's awesome.
Awesome. Well, Mike, I think it's actually time to start welcoming
time.
our guests in, isn't it? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, without further ado, people, we're going to play a short little video here for you, and then we're going to invite our guests on for everyone to say hello, and we're going to kick this thing off.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a little teaser for our upcoming cartoon, Unicorn Detective Agency, also lovingly known as Unicorn Dick Investigations. Today, we're going to start off by inviting our first guest up here. We go way back from running our first cartoon idea together to meeting at a bunch of cons and hanging out. You know him as the most notorious Solid Snake from the Metal Gear series. He wrote the first X-Men movies. He wrote the Watchmen movie. He's currently working on Warrior Nun. Will you please welcome Mr. David Hayter to the stage? Welcome, Dave.
Hey!
Hello.
How's it doing, my man?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing very well, thanks.
Yeah.
And good morning, Twitch Pixel Nation.
That's right. Nation. I like that. We're going to start. I was going for Twitch Official Cult, but let's make it a nation instead.
Let's make it a nation. You get all sorts of awesome diplomatic rules and
that's right. Some
get away
tax
with
levies
anything.
breaks.
That's right. That's right.
So it's been a while. It's good to catch up with you. I know you've been having a crazy life working on Warrior Nun. You just got back from Italy working on it, and you guys got season 2 coming out now, don't you?
We do. It was actually Spain. I was in Madrid
nice.
for 6 months, which was amazing. And season 2 is done. The post is being finished right now, and so hopefully, maybe late summer we'll see it. But I can't stand by any dates. But
Of course.
But it's going to be badass, and we just blew the doors off for this season, and the rule in the writers' room was all killer, no filler. So
nice. Yeah, that first season was rocking. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with next.
Well, thank you.
That is awesome. Well, speaking about Dave, I know that you and our next guest go way back. You guys have been working together on
way back.
Way back. She's also a fellow Canadian. She is a fantastic human being. Getting to know her over the last little while has been awesome. She's doing some amazing things online. We'll talk about that in just a second. But I want to welcome up to the stage Fem.Shep herself, Rivet from Ratchet and Clank, Mrs. Jennifer Hale. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Oh my God. Good day. Hi.
Hello, Jennifer Hale.
Hi guys. How is everybody? It's great to be here.
Listen to that voice. That's the silkiest, most awesome voice in voiceover.
Hello. Good morning. How are you?
Okay. No, it's all gone to hell. No, it's all gone to hell.
Welcome to hell.
So yeah, you can follow Jennifer as J Hale Tweets on Twitter. That's one way to get a hold of her, and you can tweet at her anything you want. I'm sure she'll get back to you in some sarcastically awesome way. And but you're also doing something else cool that I wanted to bring up that we found out about. You have something called skillshub.life, acting.skillshub.life to be specific. Here's the URL right here. And you're actually doing custom kind of one-on-one coaching with up to 72 different professionals you've brought together to kind of help people. Let's bring up a little screenshot of the website. There she is on the website right there.
Thank you.
Learn, play, grow, work. So you're basically trying to help new and upcoming artists kind of learn the trade and give them more of a one-on-one personal touch, eh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the site was born because I got sick and tired of auditioning all the time by myself, and I just wanted like 10 minutes with someone I trust. I didn't need a whole entire hour of private session, and I didn't have time to do an ongoing class at the time. And I thought, man, if I could just get like a minute by minute thing. And so my sister and my friend Bill Reed, we all got together, and he built this incredible platform. And initially, it was just for working actors to go in and get help with auditions. And then it suddenly blew up into this whole thing of how do I get started? And we have a whole entire section for people who just want to figure out how to do this. We're creating a whole getting started guide. And yeah, I was really lucky. Like a whole bunch of people I completely trust, like my peers, fellow working actors, voice directors, casting directors, all jumped on board, and they're coaching. Like people who've worked on your favorite things are available anytime, or whenever you can get a hold of them. You can send
Yeah.
out requests or book them on the calendar. It's amazing, and it's a killer community, and it's like people are getting agents who don't live in LA, and it's really neat. Yeah, it's
That's
cool to
cool.
watch.
You're building community around it, and that's kind of what Twitch Feels is all about too. We want to build community. It's about uplifting other artists and trying to get them the confidence to realize that you can achieve these goals. It takes perseverance, it takes hard work, but you know what? There's people here who have done it, who've laid the ground, the foundation, and they are here to help, and they want to help. And that
Yeah.
I have to say, just kudos to you and
Thank
bringing
you.
that platform up.
Thank you. I love it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
So speaking of all around good humans and another amazing voice actor from another massive franchise, we have Mr. Jeff Leach coming up on here. He is known as Ghost from Call of Duty. He has his own live streaming channel for gaming, and he has a current upcoming comedy stream. Welcome, Mr. Leach. How are you doing, my friend? Uh-oh.
No, for a voice actor, he sounds pretty quiet.
You muted?
God, I love
Yeah, you have me muted. Sorry.
There we go. You're muted. How you doing?
Damn it, Jeff.
I'm good, thank you. I was saying thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. And
Yeah, no
it's
problem.
lovely to meet these other wonderful talents that you have joining us as well. Although, Jennifer, I got to say, I can't believe you're literally giving other people the work that I'm trying to get. How dare you? You
There's
keep
plenty
training
to
all
go
these
around,
brilliant
Jeff.
voice actors. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Plenty to go around. All
Not
those
once they
guys
learn a British
together.
accent, I'm out. That's it. It's done. It's over for me.
But that's a whole other conversation. Is authenticity in casting now is primary.
Yeah,
Primary.
it really is. It's changed. And that's awesome. I love that too. It's the inclusivity. It's really, really starting to shine through the way we wanted it to all these years,
Yeah.
And so Jeff, you actually have, I'm going to bring the poster up right now. You got a comedy special coming up, don't you? This right here.
That's right. Yeah, I'm actually taping my debut comedy special on Monday at the Comedy Cellar, which is a comedy club in New York. You may or may not have heard of it. And it's, I'm very excited. It's going to be great. But it's not just a stand-up comedy special. I mean, there's going to be lots of things going on within the final project, some stand-up, some crowd work, sketch, an animated segment where I voice all the characters. I thought, why not use it as a showcase for all the talents rather than just the one?
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
I love your poster too.
Man,
thank you very much.
Let's bring that back up. Mind
Yeah,
blown.
so cool. I saw it on the Twitters, and I was like, "That's really, really cool."
That's very sweet of you. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. It's a very talented artist actually called Rowan Smith, who does all of my artwork.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to Rowan.
So,
we'll have to poach him too.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to. Yeah,
same.
I'll give you his details.
Right. So we can learn. I'm just going to throw the link up now. You can go to jeffreyleach.com. You can learn about his upcoming presentation, his upcoming show, and a bunch of his other stuff, his catalog of voice acting, and all that other great stuff. And you got a game stream, which you were usually doing on Saturdays, but you're actually here with us today.
Well, actually, yeah, I normally broadcast 6 days a week, but I've been traveling now, quite heavily for the last couple of months to New York and back to prepare for this comedy special. Or comedy spectacular, I should say. It's not special. Spectacular.
It's beyond special.
Always got to be different. Brits, innit? You know what we're like.
You're only
so
special to your
flamboyant.
mom, maybe.
Very special to my mum, exactly. Yes.
It's a comedy
All right.
superlative.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Jeff, you actually brought our next guest to me and said I would love to get her on the show because not only is she an amazingly talented voice actress, not only is she an amazing, awesome human being, but she's also a musician with an insane voice.
Also, too many white people. Just too many white people.
Yeah, that's right. Right. We're getting a little
I'm not 100% white if it makes you feel better.
It doesn't. Right. You look so white. It's crazy.
I know. So like my father. My father looked like me, and he's out there going, "I'm a tribal elder," and like getting arrested and stuff. And he was.
Well, let's welcome Sandra Saad to the stage from Marvel's Avengers.
Hey! Hi! Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Cool. I'm good. Thank you for having me. I am brown. And an actor, yeah.
Here don't help. We all look kind of whitewashed, unfortunately, thanks to the internet.
Hey,
yeah, so
it's good to be here.
Yeah, so you're not just a voice actress, but you are actually multi-talented, like many of you are, and you have an album coming out with your band that you have coming up. I actually have an awesome picture of you here performing live. You can watch these videos on YouTube, and her voice is just amazing, everyone. You have to go check them out. You guys are called Eye of the Sun, and you've been working really hard, you said, over the last year getting your album together you have coming up, aren't you?
Yeah. We've been working on recording it during the pandemic, and we've kind of sent our stuff out to a couple other musicians in other parts of the world to kind of fill it out. And right now we're just waiting on our violinist to get back to us, and then that'll be it. So we're so excited.
Wow, yeah. I love that you just put your violinist on blast. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Waiting on you, man.
She's not watching.
I need your violinist number. I need to borrow your violinist.
Girl, yeah, for sure. She's great. I'll hit you up with her. But yeah, we're so excited. It's like psychedelic folk music. So check us out, man.
Oh my
god.
It's amazing.
Awesome. You can actually check them out, Eye of the Sun, on intheeyeofthesun.com, which I have the link up on the screen there. Go check her out. They've got tons of YouTube videos. She's just amazing. I love your voice. We've been listening to you on like repeat since you shared them with us.
Oh, that means so much to me right now. You don't even know. Thank you.
Yeah. So that is almost everybody. We have one more guest to bring on board. This is a long-term friend of Strato, or Mike and I. We go way back. He's best known for Draven and Jax of League of Legends. He is now the official title character of Unicorn Dick Investigations, Mosley Flynn, the unicorn detective himself. Would everybody please welcome to the stage the Viking of voice himself, Mr. Erik Braa.
Erik!
Holy fart sparkles.
Nice.
I'm not even sure what to say after the discussions had already.
Holy fart sparkles was pretty good.
Yeah. Right? That's
top
a good
10,
intro.
top 10 things I would have said. Yeah.
But you also, Erik, like everyone here, you're working away on your own projects. You're working hard as a producer and a writer as well as a voice actor. You guys already have a audio drama out called Clarion Dawn, a sci-fi drama about a dude who goes to Mars and all this crazy stuff happens to him. It even has Mike in it doing some voices of the captain and everything too. So, and that's all through your production team called 3 Pound Magician. Why don't you tell people a little bit about you guys?
We right before pandemic wanted to make a film, and with a friend of mine, and we started the process and got a writer friend involved and started working on it. And then pandemic happened and we went, well, we can't really work on a film right now. So we started doing audio projects, things that I could do by myself, really. I mean, but I started bringing in people or having them record remotely and directing them over Skype or something like that. So yeah, it was almost necessity, because I'm sure everyone here understands when you've got stuff in you and you just got to get it out of you and do something with it, so you make something productive, hopefully. And that is the main thing. I've been doing podcasts for the group, everything under the broadcast. So there's a sleepy time one, because I started doing stories for the Calm app and reading people to sleep, which apparently I'm good at.
I'm
struggling. I guess
with this right now, Erik.
Your voice puts me to sleep.
I'm just that boring. And just for you, Jeff. Good night. Relax and sweet dreams.
Oh.
Well, welcome, Erik. Welcome, all of you. Thank you so much for doing this. You guys are all awesome. You've been amazing helping us kind of grow our indie studio all this time. You all have your own amazing projects going. We're all multifaceted, talented people. I can't wait to kind of get into this roundtable. So what we're going to do next is we have a bunch of questions that we've kind of crafted for you guys one by one, and we'll ask a question to one of you, and then everyone will get their chance to answer the same question, and we'll go through as many of these as we can till our time is up, and then we'll have a quick Q&A with our audience and some of the stuff that we've gotten from our team who got some questions for you guys and ahead of time. So here we dive in. Let's go into this fun part. So to kick things off, we're going to kick off with Dave here. So Dave, and this applies to everyone. Everyone will get a chance to answer this question. Dave, it's day one of your class for a brand new course on creativity. Just creativity in general. It can be voice acting, writing, whatever you prefer. What is the first nugget of wisdom that you would impart onto the pie-eyed faces looking up to you as they step into the world of acting and creativity, film, and animation?
Get out. No. What would I say?
Here's the box for your soul.
I used to be, so gung-ho about the whole thing and say, anybody can do it and just go out and pursue it and everything. But at the same time, I have a daughter who has film talents, but is nervous about entering the business. And, and I feel like you want to make sure that if you are going to go into the business, that you have the creative fire to drive you, but at the same time that you have the desire to employ perseverance and somewhat of a thick skin and an ability to confront failure again and again and again. So I'm not quite as everybody can do it. I think everybody can do it. It's just a matter of, is it the right fit for you, and is it something that you have to do, that you're burning to do? And if it is, then nobody can stop you. And this has been said before, but that's really crucial. It's not just about your love of it that has to fuel you, but at the same time, you have to be prepared to learn what the business is, how it works, how to navigate, and how to survive the difficulties and the hardships of it. So, but at the same time, to put it on a little more positive front, for me, I tend to look at it all as sort of half surreal, and just anytime anything, doesn't go my way or something falls apart or dies, I'm like, well, whatever, we tried at that, and we go on to the next. And so it's just, you have to be indefatigable in your approach to the whole thing. And if you are able to muster that attitude and that the strength to go through that, it's an amazing life. There's nothing better as far as I'm concerned. But I just want to be careful not to encourage people who kind of want to do it. It's,
setting realistic expectations, right, is what you would do.
Not necessarily realistic, just saying, because it's not realistic to say, oh, I'm going to go, be a screenwriter or an actor or whatever. It's beyond realistic. It's just knowing, it's just developing the business side of it for yourself that can be difficult and hard to conceive of when you first launch into it. So that's what I typically tell people is just be prepared that it's not easy, but it sure is fun.
Awesome. And so same question. Let's pose this over to Jennifer. What would you're a coach. You love coaching people. So what would your first nugget of wisdom be?
I work far more on Skills Hub than I do in Skills Hub. So I'm not coaching all that often, but amen to everything Dave just said, and I think we've known each other forever, and just that always kills me to see, because I see the whole path. Like, that's a great thing about friends, right? They're witnesses to your life, and what I witnessed with you is just amazing, Dave.
It's true. I was nobody when I met Jennifer.
Hello.
She played a big part in helping me become somebody. So
no, I made a couple intros.
Career plan.
You did it all. Anyway, I would say the first thing I would say is everything's creative. I mean, sometimes getting out of bed, figuring out what you're going to feed your family or yourself, everything is creative. Like this is creative and this is not. I don't know. Second thing I would say is learn about money. And when you decide to pursue a creative career to support yourself, in my experience, you've become two people. You've become the artist and the benefactor. And the artist is that little kid part of you that plays and creates and imagines and has no boundaries and gets to invent entire worlds or entirely become new people or put a bunch of stuff together and create something gorgeous. Like that's the kid. They should never have economic pressures put on them. This person over here does the adulting, and that is
Yeah.
you. And every single thing you do every day is a choice. What you think, you can actually begin to be intentional about it and choose it. And the most important thing you could ever master in this career is the mental game. And that is every time a failure happens, it's not a failure, it's just sorting. You're simply sorting. And you're not being sorted. You're sorting, you're refining and finding your place and finding your people. You're creating relationships. Play the long game. Don't go up and down with every success and failure. You know, take ownership. And as cheesy as it sounds, like vociferously pursue gratitude in the tiniest of
Nice
measures.
word use.
You know,
Nice.
but seriously, it'll save your life.
Yeah.
If you go up and down with what outside world says or thinks about you, you're going to trash your health and your experience of life.
Yeah.
Like seat it well inside your own heart and choose to support yourself completely. Focus on what you're doing right. The rest will sort it out. Get a mentor. You know, that's like, yeah, you're two people, adult it, play the mental game, play the long game.
Love it. That is amazing advice. I mean, I wish I had someone told me that when I was younger, kind of kicking off my career, you know, like that's huge because you are right. You have to compartmentalize your successes and failures as being kind of agnostic of you so that you can dispassionately make proper decisions around it while being able to have that kid side. You still enjoy the process and still really get into it. I love that.
Thank you. Well, the truth is they're not successes and failures in the big picture.
They're
They're all
challenges.
points along the path.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
all happen. Everything is what is, and the less you
It's your
fight with
education.
what is, and the more it's the force. It's all that shamanism that's all over the stories we all love. Like
Yeah.
live those principles. And I mean, Dave said the most. I'm just going to call you out here. Said the most brilliant thing one time. I think it was your birthday, and one of us got you like is it Alex Kane? Some artwork I think of comics and stuff. Like I'm so lame with remembering everybody's name, but you were looking at it and it was, I don't remember if it was DC or Marvel. I think it was Marvel. And you said, this is the mythology of our time. And I was like, dude, you're so right. Yeah. You know,
Yeah, you knew that way back when you first did the X-Men movies. You basically, in my personal opinion, you're one of the grandfathers of the whole Marvel universe.
Well, my apologies.
Did you just call him a grandfather?
Wow.
Yes, well, that's how I, you know, in the early days of comic book, of the recent era of comic book movies, when I was at the forefront of that's how I sold it to the studios. I'm like, this is our Greek mythology. This is our, you know,
Yeah.
and it's been going on for, you know, since the 30s, and you people have been ignoring it, and and it was a, you know, and it was a huge uphill battle, and now you can't watch anything that doesn't have superheroes in it.
Yep.
Well, why don't we
I
slide
thought it was
on
weird
over-
when the Coda people got powers. That was, you know, what was that all about? I'm just kidding. You probably
let's
haven't seen
slide-
Coda, but it's they don't have powers. It's just a lovely movie about.
So let's slide over to Jeff Leach here. What about you, Mr. Leach? You've been doing this for a while too now, and you probably have some nuggets of wisdom for new faces trying to get in here.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want to say that I'm very happy to hear both David and Jennifer give that advice because of the following reason. There's been a lot of panels that I've been on or things like this where I'm assuming everyone here probably gets asked on a daily basis in some form on some social media platform, how do I get into voice acting? How do I get into acting? How do I break into the industry? How do I do this? And 90% of the panels that feature talented artists who are working, you will get bullshit answers that are very wishy-washy, very two-dimensional, and they'll all be happiness and light and positivity and, hey, man, yeah, anyone can do it and blah, 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 blah. And I'm really glad that neither of you did that. You gave actual proper advice. My starting advice for every single person who ever comes into my, for instance, live broadcast on Facebook Gaming or YouTube Gaming, they go, how do I get into voice acting? And my first answer is, I'm not trying to be an arsehole to you, but this is my first piece of advice. The industry is very tough. Only very few make it to the top of that pile and can actually have a living career out of the work that they do creatively. And if you haven't yet worked out to go on Google and Google, how does one start in the world of voice acting, or how do I get a voice reel, or listening to other voice actors, if you haven't done that level of groundwork, you will probably fail within this industry. So when people come across and ask me that, unless you're incredibly lucky, unless you friends with someone who works at a studio and they say, hey, you sound great, you should be this thing, which does happen, of course. Just those stories are very few and far between. So just like these immensely talented actors that are sitting on this panel who have done far more work than I have and way more experienced, that's the first part of advice, is you have to generate 99% of your successes and failures, your experiences, your learning curves. They all come from you. They all stem from you. First bit of advice, get out there and start Googling, what do I need to do to make this happen? More practical advice that I give to them after that is, once you've done that, once you learn that, go get an IMDb Pro account. Go and learn who the agents are of the voice actors that you admire, that you respect. Reach out to those agents, but don't do it until you have a shit hot voice reel that you have spent a long time perfecting, that you've really worked on the characters that are true to you and your own voice. And hopefully you'll get a few emails back that will say, hey, we'd love to take a meeting. And if you don't be disheartened. Keep working at it. Redo the voice reel. Send it out to some different agents. But it really is, as Jennifer said, you're going to have a lot of knockbacks, but they're not failures. It's only taken until the ripe old age. I'm 38. Probably about a year ago, I realized they're not failures. If any of those projects were meant to happen, or those opportunities were meant to happen, they would have done. Instead, by them not happening, you learn lessons that will put you in good stead to make other projects happen in the future. So yeah, I think a lot of it is self-driven work. Get out there and work. Stop asking us what to do. unless you're signing up for an amazing course with Jennifer, in which case you
Well played. All right. Well, Miss Sandra, now you have been doing tons of creative things, and so you can pick your side. If you want to do voice acting, you want to do art, you want to do music. What is the advice you give to anyone trying to get into any of the creative industries that you are excited about?
Yeah, I'll just pick acting here. I'm still learning. We're all learning, and thank you guys so much for saying what you said, because I've learned a lot. But I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I agree that
you'll never play a British actress.
That's true. I'm not good at it.
Let's hear your cowboy, Jeff.
You gotta know your strengths.
Everyone's
all right?
got a British accent. As soon as I start speaking, everyone's got one.
No.
Don't you know what you're talking about? It's ridiculous.
Outrageous, Mike.
You gotta know for sure that this is it for you, that this is what you want to do, because otherwise I feel like there's too much pain to be like, oh, I don't know if I'm 100% sure about this, but sure, I'll do these auditions every single day, and then not hear back from them if I'm not 100% sure that this is all I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Because I get, when stuff started, this stuff started popping off for me. I had people in my community that were like, I want to do that. Hey, Sandra, how do I do that? I want to be on TV. I want to video game. Let me do that. Give me your connections. And that's just not how it works, man. We've been studying forever, and I was studying this.
And I ask you about 3 times a week for that as well, and you still don't send it over to me.
Not once. Not one connection.
So it's tough to see that that's kind of where mentality is for a lot of people coming up these days, that they're like, oh, just give it to me, just tell me what your secret is. And there is no secret for me. I've studied my whole life on this. This whole bookshelf over here is just about voices and acting and everything I can do to perfect myself so that I would be lucky enough to be in a room with actors like yourself. So make sure that this is really what you want to do, and study, because when I came up, I didn't have the opportunity to just shoot a message out to Jeff Leach and be like, hey, so how do I do this? You know,
I mean, technically, we did though. We went on a lot of hikes, and you taught. It's interesting though. Sorry, just to I apologize for hopping in.
Are you gonna put me on blast? Sure, go ahead.
No, I'm not going to put you on blast in the slightest. I'm going to be honest about Sandra and I hike quite regularly together, and we we're both newer in the industry, but we imparted a lot of advice to each other. Like I've learned plenty from Sandra, and she's learned plenty from me, I hope, and just through our conversations. But that's because both people had a mutual respect that we were both working really fucking hard at it. Excuse my language.
We're an adult channel.
That's your one.
Sorry, to that point, I'm pointing at Jennifer. It's the same exact thing that happened with us, which was I was lucky enough to get a job. I was Captain America on the Spider-Man animated series, and she was Black Cat. And our characters almost made out, except Captain America was busy dealing with democracy, so it didn't happen.
Of course.
What a loser.
I know. He was like, I can't because of democracy. But the point is, I met Jennifer, and I was like, oh my God, what a. I mean, she was already, working quite a bit and everything, so it was obvious. But I was like, what a superstar of talent and inspiration, and I was just drawn to her, and she was so. And I think she saw something in me, and so we really bonded and started writing a short film for Kevin Spacey, which was weird, and sort of glad that didn't come together. But but the point is that you meet people like Jeff or Sandra and or any of you, and you get inspired just as friends, and that energy builds off each other and can sort of help you advance in the industry. And I've had that with a number of friends that you meet when they're nobody, but you're like, wow, there's something really special about this person. And so those people that you meet in your life, cultivate those relationships and just express your love of what you want to do, and that will build into something. So.
I want to tag on to that, Dave. I want to thank you. And yeah, you were, I mean, you're just such an astonishing human, and I'm so happy you're my friend.
You two need to marry each other immediately. I just
his
wife
the only one thinking it. Oh, his life partner is one of
I've
my
never met her.
favorite
I have
people.
no emotional relationship with her whatsoever. I think you
No. I
move in together.
But
I
no,
agree, but my wife would frown on that.
I'll marry your wife. She's amazing. So the thing that really I want to add to that is that, I think when people get inspired, they see people who are already working and already kind of at the pinnacle, and they go, I want to be with you. And what I think sometimes gets overlooked is look around you. These peers that you hike with, that you hang out with, that you work that one job with, that you had that great conversation with, these are your peers, and you guys are the future. We're in the future too. Maybe we'll bump into each other and work together, but really pay attention to the community that you build as you go along, because you're all going to rise together. All boats rise together.
Yeah, you're elevating each other, and it's kind of like the idea you think about how Hollywood's worked for a lot of the years. You can see groups like Seth Rogen's group of friends who got together as friends and made movies together and films together, and that's what elevated them. It wasn't because they knew like some rich person. And
Also, I was going to say nepotism helps as well.
Yeah, of course, that does definitely help. So let's slide over to Erik Braa. Erik, you working on League of Legends, and you've been on World of Warcraft. You've been so many side voices, and then main voices, and then your own stuff. What is, in creativity in general, what would be your first advice to an upcoming faces?
Roll initiative. It's actually everything that they just said. To be honest with you, this is the beauty of going last. I can just piggyback onto these, huge stars and say the same thing. It is really your initiative. Are you going to push? Are you going to make this happen? Are you going to do it every day? This is not. So many people have asked me about like, oh, I want to get in a voice. I was thinking about doing it on the side. Yeah, good luck with that. You're never going to do it on the side. If you really want to make it to the, the Jennifer Hales and the David Hayters and the Jeff Leaches and Sandras and all, you know what I mean? Like if you want to make it up that level, it's a push, man. And acting classes, all of these things. We're actors. They call us voice actors, but we're actors. We literally go in and perform the material that's in front of us. Generally, that's the beauty, is we usually don't have to memorize every line. But but we still have to put the same amount of acting and power and emotion and love behind every word of it. So yeah, you have to want this. You have to decide that I'm going to do this, and I'm going to spend pretty much every day. And Jeff's comment, like, God, it so rings true. Like, you're asking me how to become a voice, like a Google search will probably give you about 800 different answers to that. And it's fine. I mean, I understand that people want to ask you because they're hoping that you'll somehow give them something. But the reality is it's fucking work. That's what it is. Work your ass off. And like the community is another huge thing. I mean, when you get into a group with other voice actors and they read something and you go, holy crap, I didn't think to deliver it that way. That kind of community builds. The advice, as Jeff and Sandra were talking about, like, you know, when you're taking a hike and you're talking about, like, God, and then this guy made me re-audition for this thing, you know, and it's your fellow peer that looks over and goes, hey man, I had that happen too. You know, you just go, oh well, I guess this is just what it is. You just got to keep driving, and you got to. I mean, I don't know. As an actor, at least I assume most are the same as me, where there's days where you're like, does anybody like what I'm doing? I've sent out so many auditions and not gotten a peep.
Wait, are there days where that doesn't happen?
Exactly.
The days I'm booked, Jeff. Those are the days.
Yeah, fair.
No, whenever I book, I'm like, well, it must be a mistake. I mean, I think
must be.
Yeah, I wonder, like,
must have been busy.
Were one of these people actually busy? Is that what's going on? Like, that's why I got this booking.
It sounds like the general kind of rhetoric you all have around this is it's hard work, but in the words of Galaxy Quest, never give up, never surrender.
Right.
Yeah, pick something to do that you love, and you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Yes,
And there's another piece of gold in here too, which is that people see us and we're the ink and the tip of the pen, right? But there's an entire pen behind us. There's full of incredible creative careers, and one of those might be your lane, and you just might be the best in your whole zone at that. So when things come along that spark you, don't hold so tight to this idea you had. Like, say yes to what comes along. Like, Dave's such a
I never
example of that.
planned on putting people to sleep with my voice, but guess what? I'm able to do it, and I've actually gotten quite a few. You know what I mean? I've made some money doing it. I'm quite happy with it. I love doing voice, you know, characters and everything else too. I'm just saying there are things that you have to lean into a little bit if you show that you excel at something.
I'm looking forward to you leaning into a hot tub ASMR Twitch stream, Erik. That's what
I'll bring the hot
my
tub.
sub money is ready, bro. My sub money
All right. You can sub me up at Erik Braa.
But there's a personal story about Erik and hard work. Is do you remember Kieran? Yeah. So Kieran, this is an example of hard work beats talent when talent won't work hard. Kieran was in design, and he decided he wanted to do voice acting. Did all of his own work, impressed me, and you saw that. Helped him out just with things that he couldn't easily Google, and he had his first debut in an anime on Crunchyroll a few months ago. So Erik, like, that's the type of person that you keep, is someone like Erik who, like, you really did something amazing for him, and someone like that speaks about work ethic, and it's really down to that. Sorry, continue.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, and it comes down to dedication. Like I said, me and Natalie, we've been working on this for 20 years together, making art. We've done comics, live action, miniseries. We've done animations. And the one determining factor, whenever everyone asks me, what's the advice? Like, I'm not a voice actor, but when they ask me, how do you do what you do? How do you keep pushing forward? How do you persevere? And I say to them, I wake up every morning and I say to myself, I can either give up and it is a failure, or I can keep pushing and it's just more challenges. And you know what? I'd rather be challenged every day than wake up and feel like a failure because I gave up on myself, because that's the worst feeling to me, you know, and I'm trying to avoid that at all costs. Yeah.
And to that point, Jeff, I just want to say, to bring you into this conversation, I met you at a Seattle Comic-Con, and as far as I know, you hadn't done much, but you were so full of fire and plans and bright shiny eyes, and I was like, okay, so, you know, that was one, you know, you're one of the people that I met along the way where I was like, oh no, this guy is going somewhere, and so I could see that, and so here we are, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because you're one of the that, you know, so many people come up to me and I'm like, okay, you know, but you know, you and a very few others, I was like, oh yeah, he's never going to quit. He's, you know, going to take it as far as he possibly can, and so I just wanted to make sure that you understood that as well.
Oh
and
man,
that
I
our
have
viewers
no
understand.
idea what that means to us too, because it has, like, as you all have seen and I'm sure suffered, is that there's kind of this point where in your career you hit this barrier to entry, and it's kind of like a membrane that you can't push through, but you got to find that pinpoint to push right through it so you can kind of hit that next echelon. And working with you guys and kind of bringing this to the forefront and doing it ourselves too, and taking control of our own ideas really has empowered that. And things like what Jennifer's doing with the Voice Actor Hub and you guys mentoring each other, that to me is the community that Hollywood has been trying to rebuild now, after years of having this kind of weird sense of itself. It's trying to find that community now. It's trying to engage the fans too. And I see that being the future of film and animation and video games in general. And you guys are all kind of laying the foundation for that. So thank you all to that too. So let's move forward in the questions. That was question one. So let's move to the second question here.
It's gonna be a long session, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is a little more of a fun one. Should go by a little quicker. Let's start
You
with
ain't ever getting
Jennifer,
out of
this time.
here.
That's right. Let's start with you, Jennifer. So you've all played a vast array of voices, some similar to your own voice, some completely disguised because of your ridiculous amount of talent. Of all the characters you've played, Jennifer, and this goes for all of you, of all the characters you've played, who's been your favorite to play?
This is such a hard question to answer. Which child do you love the best? All of them, none of them. Honestly, the number one thing is the sheer variety. It's the sheer variety of stuff I've been able to do. That is my number one favorite thing. That, you know, there's a couple that have special places, you know, and Rivet was really cool lately because people got to know me so much for this part of my voice. And with Rivet, I got to live here. I got to live in this piece of me, and it was just that was extraordinary. But they're all like, I mean, I can't now. I want to name all of them because I named one. Like the variety. That's my favorite.
Right, variety. Good answer. Good answer. Good non-answer or answer? No, that was a good answer.
No, that's my answer.
There you go. How about you, Mr. Leach?
Oh, very similar to Jennifer. I think the joy is that we get to effectively do kind of big character roles without having to sit for 8 hours in a prosthetics makeup chair. And I love that. So I guess one of the roles, it was actually a smaller game that maybe, I don't know, I imagine a lot of people haven't played, but it's a Battlestar Galactica game called Deadlock. I played Prince Stefan, who is this elderly gentleman. And it was just a completely, it's not my voice remotely. You wouldn't know it's me. Anytime I get to do a complete... it's been a long time since I've heard it.
I think he was an older man. He was very old and he was very posh and he's very much like that. So the concept of playing someone 30 to 40 years older than myself was very nice.
Got some Ian McKellen going on there.
I just want to be
good.
I just want to be.
It was like you cannot pass. Come on.
You shall not pass.
You know, I just want to be. I want to voice a character who looks the way Erik Braa looks. Do you know what I mean?
It's like a powerful old dwarven warrior.
I get joyful when I do that shit. Like just doing that voice made me happy because it's not me. It's something completely different. I can live. I'm an escapist. I've lived the entirety of my life trying to escape my own insecurities, depression, misery, all those things. And I used to do it with drinking until I, passed out, then drugs. And I gave all those things up. This is just a ginger beer, by the way. But now I get to do that escapism by playing these characters. But obviously, when it comes down to jobs, I'm not going to lie and say that the role of Ghost in Call of Duty was simultaneously the best job I've ever had and the worst job I've ever had for very different reasons. But the best job because it connected me to a community of millions of people, out of which at least a few thousand were really nice and have come across and impacted my life without going on it too long, I had a very difficult time last year, and I had some pretty deep depression and misery. And my community, who I talk to a lot about mental health on my live streams, who were there for Ghost, they weren't there for me at first. They came for the Ghost and they stayed for Jeff Leach. And they were a big proponent of what helped lift me out of that quite awful depression. So, yeah, I mean, like, if we're talking about, you know, impact on your life, probably Ghost. But if we're talking about fun, Prince Stefan was fun. I like that.
Nice. And how about you, Miss Sandra Saad?
Similarly to Jeff, actually. Kamala Khan is so important to me for so many reasons. And I think Miss Marvel, what she stands for in my life is that I finally got to do what I've always wanted to do. And I finally got to work with the people I've always wanted to work with. And she is a real superhero to me. And then the fans that came along with her are, for me, just as special as she is. And I love her so much. However, I did one session, or I did like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 sessions on Deathloop, but there was this one session where I played a character named Moonie, and for the life of me now, I can't find her, and that's fine. But the work I did with Moonie was so fun because she was on LSD, and she was like, they recorded me singing a song, like a full song that was like Jefferson Airplane, and my God, if that did not feel like the real me, like, or I don't know who if I was like born in whenever and lived through 1968, but Moonie was so much fun.
Oh man, I just played through Deathloop, and it's funny because we had got the game after you had signed on to do this live stream, and I was going through your IMDb. I'm like, what can we talk about? What? She's in Deathloop? So I plowed through the whole game trying to hear your voice as much as possible. It was great.
Did you hear it? Did you hear me?
You're in there, yeah, for sure.
Great. Okay, cool.
It's a hard game though, like holy crap. But yeah, no, it's awesome seeing that the inspiration that the characters bring you guys too, because it's not just a job for you guys too. Some of these characters impart onto you as well, which I love. And Erik, I know for you a big part of that has been your success with League of Legends and Jax and Draven. And so why don't you talk a bit about your career and who's been your favorite character to play?
I will say the same thing as Jennifer, that I don't want to say any one of them is something. I will, however, not feel bad about mentioning a couple of them. Draven, obviously. So Jax was super fun. He was actually the first character I did, and at the time, no one knew what League of Legends was. It was years before it was even finished. So it was like, okay, just a game job. I don't know. And then you leave. And then years later, somebody taps you and goes, have you heard of this game? And then I got Draven, and Draven was a character. I had a character that I'd created for him. And then when the audition came in, I went, oh God, that's it. And he's just a cocky dickhead or jerk. And if you're not always a jerk in real life, then it's super fun to get to play one, because then you get to do really bad stuff. So come on, bring it, baby. I think that's why Draven's so fun. But things like the Spirit Tree and Ori and the Blind Forest, yes. I created a language on the fly while doing that. And it was
it's one of my favorite games of all time.
Awesome.
Other than the fact that my friends tell me that my character's a jerk. Because every time he comes on screen, it's bad news.
That's true.
I said, you can't hate the Spirit Tree. Come on. But the fact that, I was working with Andy at Wabi Sabi, and we were just, almost riffing, like coming up with this language, and certain words would mean something. So it just, it had an impact, and your whole brain is just clicking at the time. You're just thinking of stuff. And anybody who's done Simlish or other, space languages, that sometimes it's just, you just and you're like, what does that even mean? I don't know. I have no idea, but it says here that I'm supposed to say good day to you. You know what I mean? So,
at least you're not doing like
yeah, well, okay, yes, granted, I'm not doing the Wookiee every time, but
Beard Jeff, is that why?
Is he from Disney?
I mean, everything I do, I love to do because I love doing this work. Even like I said, even the sleep stories, like knowing that I get messages from people that are like, I've suffered from insomnia. You've changed my life. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to say to you that other than thank you or you're welcome or I don't know, because my heart grows when I have someone tell me that the work that I've done has done something for them, whether it's entertained them for a little while or it literally is, sort of changed their life and they can sleep. I
Awesome.
don't care. I'm happy to do them all. And I mean, I'm sure everyone here can say the same thing. It's an absolute thrill. Any character we get to do. And again, you mentioned the side characters. Sometimes it's these little ones that you're just like, oh man, that time I got to be like, I didn't do anything with it. Like whatever the stupid little character was that would just jumped in for a joke and left. Like, that's fine with me. I'm happy with that.
Nice. And how about you, Dave? How about you?
Well, I agree across the board. Every single one of I was just thinking about, I did like a number of pilots in Mech Warrior 2 where I was just a fighter pilot and it was just like being in Star Wars, and that was pretty awesome. Obviously, playing Solid Snake and Naked Snake and Big Boss sort of defined my voice acting career and justified my dad's paying for theater school, but that was a multi, that was a decade or two worth of ups and downs, and I love it. But in terms of pure joy, when I was 20, I don't know, 24, so I was working doing anime voiceovers in the Deep Valley with Steve Blum and Bryan Cranston, and they were non-union, and they'd pay us $50 an hour, and this was before any of us were anybody. And Kevin Seymour, who would direct these adaptations, asked me. He said, "I've got a movie, and I'd like you to play the lead. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "You had me at lead." And and so
It's a porno, by the way.
You had me at Wood.
He also had me at you. Pretty much.
You've had me the whole time. You just
you had me
every word.
You had me from the get-go. So yeah, so he asked me if I would do this role, and it was Lupin in the Castle of Cagliostro. And so I went in. I didn't know anything about it. It was a movie from 1979, and it was this. And Lupin is this, thief, this sort of magical, impish thief who he's just pure joy and pure adventure and romance and it's just this amazing character to play. And so we started recording it, and it opens with this car chase, and the car chase was unbelievable. I mean, it was so visual and cinematic and spectacular. I was like, oh my God, I'd been doing a lot of anime, and I was like, this is a cut above, like what the hell is this? And so I did the movie, and it was just an absolute blast because like I think Erik was saying, Draven, just a character with no limits is so fun. Take off all the limiters that you put on in your life and you just dive into it, and it's magical. And then about 10 years later, I found out that movie was the directorial debut of Hayao Miyazaki.
And nice.
So I found out a decade later that I had starred in a Miyazaki film, and that was pretty special. It was pretty special, and just completely fortuitous and out of nowhere, and just pure joy to play. So if anybody, they just released a 4K Blu-ray of it, and
nice.
Where I took out all the swear words, so I got to, like 20 years after the fact, I got to go back and do the same voice again, and it was really.
Has your voice changed at all over that time?
Well, my voice has definitely changed. I mean, every year I sound more like Snake, just being alive. But I'm able to go back to the place I was in.
Nice.
Then, when I was young and my voice wasn't, torn up, and I still believed in things, and my heart
Still had a
wasn't
soul.
cold stone, and so I did that, and that was pretty cool. And then I also, along those lines, I just did a pilot for a show called Destruna, and it starred me and Tom oh wait,
Selleck.
Tom Felton. No, not Tom Selleck.
It's just his
Tom
mustache.
Felton and Kate Mulgrew.
Nice.
So
Janeway! Woo!
yeah, so you can find that online, and I guess we did the pilot, and then it didn't get picked up, which happens, and it's such a shame.
Yeah.
But in that one, I got to play sort of the older brother character. But what I did was I didn't want it to sound like Snake, so I went back to the way I would have done it when I was a kid, when I was younger, and I tried to put that youth and that fire into it, and pitch it up a little bit, and so that was pretty cool too. If anybody wants to check it out.
That's awesome.
Awesome, man. No, I remember going through and seeing Lupin on your IMDb. I didn't know that was actually the Miyazaki's Lupin, which is awesome. And that's such a I would be so honored to be in one of his films because he's such a all his pieces are masterpieces. And as an animator, he inspired me as a kid to even get into this industry. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, and it's sort of like a James Bond film about a thief, and
yeah, it's kind of Indiana Jones meets James Bond, right?
Yeah, it's one of the best movies I've ever worked on in my entire life. So if you've never seen it and you love anime, I mean, it's amazing.
What? Not the Guyver? Come on.
Well, I love the Guyver. I wish the Guyver was half an hour shorter. But no, Guyver Dark. So I was the lead in a movie called Guyver Dark Hero, and that was my first on-camera lead, and that was amazing. That's where I met my wife. That's why my daughter exists, and I'll tell you a story about the Guyver. So just briefly, this probably won't be brief. If you don't know, I was the writer of the movie X-Men. And I was in my office, which was literally a broom closet that they had taken the brooms out of, and our stunt coordinator Gary Jensen walked past with the Guyver movie in his hand on DVD, and I was like, Gary, what are you doing? Where are you going with that? And he said, I'm going to go show the director this. He's like, have you ever seen the fights in this movie? They're incredible. I was like, Gary, turn it over. And so he turned it over, and he looked at the picture, and he's like, "But that's you." I was like, yeah. Why is that you? And I was like, I'm the lead in the movie. How close could you have been watching? Point of the movie. Point of the story is that the fighting in that movie is so groundbreaking and badass and far ahead of its time that it influenced our fights on X-Men. I'd say it influenced The Matrix. I mean, there's a kick called the Guyver kick, which exists because of that movie, which is where you jump up, you spin around, your first foot goes over the head of this guy, your second foot misses this guy, and then comes back and kicks him in the face. It's the most remarkable. Google the Guyver kick, and you'll see the most incredible martial arts movie you've ever seen. So.
And didn't some of the older Guyver stuff kind of feel like before you did the Dark Hero, the ones, it's like, wasn't the older Guyver stuff kind of Power Rangers-y?
Well, there was another movie before our movie, and it was a lot more comedic and slapstick, and I mean, it's got its charms as well. But when we did Dark Hero, we were like, no, we're doing this deadly serious, and this is a real world, and I think that took it up a notch. So.
Awesome.
So that was a pretty fun.
All right, well, we're getting close to our Q&A session here, but I have one more fun one to ask all of you guys. I'm gonna start with you, Sandra. This is gonna be fun. So, the world has fallen to chaos. Society has collapsed. The Earth has reclaimed much of what it once was. What character or characters from film, TV, or games do you want by your side to survive the wastelands?
I'm so panicked right now.
Don't panic. That's what the mutants get.
I love these emotes. Keep going.
Confusion, difficulty. You're lost.
Probably. Honestly, okay. Probably Captain America, because I need to be bossed around a little bit.
Set up that tent,
Nice.
citizen.
And you can trust him, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
He's like Uncle Cap.
Uncle Cap. Oh, nice. How about you, Jeff? Who do you want by your side in the wasteland?
Oh, I mean, there's a few characters. I probably want Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead because he's the only one who seems to have survived 25 seasons. Maybe is it Ellie from The Last of Us? Is that what's the
Yes.
yeah, because she's I know, I don't get me wrong, I realized that you know, she was helped to become a powerful young woman by you know, the male protagonist from the first game, but yeah, she's badass. She's tough.
Yeah,
I feel like she would yeah, she'd look after things. And again, she'd keep me in check, so she'd give me a little slap around the head if I was having an off day. She'd go, come on, buff your ideas up. You know how much loss I've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those two would be pretty good. Oh, and then Loader Bro from the Borderlands.
Nice. Yeah.
Loader Bro from Borderlands, the Telltale game Borderlands. Borderlands game. Just because he's the most dependable guy. I know he's a robot, but I cried. He died in that game, or he almost dies in that game about 12 times. And every time you think he's dead, you're like, Loader Bro, no, and he comes back and back and back and back. You can't kill Loader Bro. I love that.
Nice. What about you, Mr. Braa? Who do you want on your side in the wasteland?
Jesus, I have no idea. Thanos? No.
So we can snap you away?
So he can snap everything else away. Hey, these guys are coming at us. Now they're not. No, I honestly, I don't know. I think about superheroes, and then you started me thinking about Walking Dead, and then I'm like, oh, geez, I have no idea. I don't even know what's available in this world now. I'm like, if it's desperate like this, do we even have bullets? Do we have? Maybe I need Draven just to have
the world now, do you? Bloody actors, no.
I mean, real talk, we should all really be saying most people who live in the state of Alabama, because they have about 1,000 AR weapons sitting in the basement. If you want to
Honey, I
survive
lived in
the
Alabama for
apocalypse-
19 years. You might want to rethink. No.
Oh, no, I mean, I know I'll end
No
up having
shade
to
to
have
Alabama.
sex with someone's cousin that's probably mine, but I also feel like when it comes to surviving an apocalypse, I want a crazy survivalist in a bunker with a load of ARs. That's what I want.
Yeah.
No,
that
that's
makes
true.
sense.
That's true.
How about you, Jennifer? Who do you want in the apocalypse with you?
The Terminator.
Oh,
yeah, right. He won't eat your
It's one of my
food.
favorite movies ever.
Didn't even hesitate. It was just straight up the Terminator.
You knew. You already know this.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
have 3 people to think about it.
Get to the bunker. Come on, let's go.
How about you,
I
Dave?
just want Arnold.
How do I
Like-
get into voice acting?
You leave now. Go.
How about you, Dave?
Well, I think I would pick Superman. That seems like an obvious
makes
choice. He can fly
Boring
around
company, though, right?
Not Metal Gear?
No. I'm not. Well, I'm not done yet. So I would take Snake and the Guyver and Captain America because of their soothing voices. And and finally Michael Cera from Superbad because he's
totally. Yeah,
hilarious.
Oh.
He wouldn't help. He wouldn't help, but I mean, geez.
I was going to say, David, he'd be dead. He'd be dead in like less than 4 hours. 4 hours tops. That's what he gets.
You'd
He's
be
the
bleeding
guy in
out.
red suit.
You put him in Superman's
Are you
pouch
saying
and
they
it's
don't
just
have my
like,
juices anymore?
What do you mean you don't have oat milk?
Well, I'm going to include myself in this one. I think I would take. There's 2 people I would take with me, and they're both actually the same person. One is Bruce Campbell, straight up. Second is Ash from Army of Darkness, and both of them. I want both of them.
Now, can I ask you how your 2 professional colleagues on this stream right now feel about that answer? Wow, wouldn't take either of you.
Well, I just assumed I was the only one left. And
Oh,
I had
okay.
to
All right, fair
choose,
enough, fair enough.
you know,
Well, if we're in that boat, I'll take my kid.
there you go.
He's already on my team.
That's right.
Get your own.
Well, that hits the 1 o'clock mark, so we're going to start opening our Q&A here, which is just a bunch of questions we've collected over the past couple of weeks from our fans. We have some questions coming in from our fans in our Discord channel, and our team had some questions for you guys individually. And kind of like if you have any questions for each other too, this is kind of a more free-form moment where we can kind of talk with each other about our passion and what we love about this. But I do have some specific questions. Let's start with who did I start with last? It was Jennifer last. Let's go with no, I started with Sandra. Let's go with Erik. Erik, I don't even know if you're allowed talking about this at all, but Are there any rumblings about Jax or Draven coming in the new Arcane season?
I have heard nothing, and sadly, I am sure there's a chance that I might get recast. I don't know. I mean, my friend was the voice of Vi or whatever, and unfortunately, they recast her with a bigger A-list Hollywood name. So I really don't know. But I mean, should I get the chance, I'll be more than happy, man. That would be really awesome.
So we're gonna start a GoFundMe page for you then. Is it?
Yeah, that would be anything. That'd be wonderful, actually. Yeah. Who wants
I
a
hate
piece
when they
of
do
a
that. I
chair?
hate when they recast. I fucking hate that shit. Sorry, it's like it's
No,
it's
really,
it's,
it
it's,
doesn't bother
trash.
me at all.
I mean, yeah, no.
It doesn't bother me at all. You can tick off that question already then.
Nothing but net.
No.
Didn't even hear that one.
Here's to you, sir.
So this one's more just a general question for everybody. Are there any appearances now that COVID's eased up? Are there any appearances or events coming up online or otherwise that you guys will be appearing at?
I have no idea.
At my house.
I might be in
actually-
Orlando
sorry.
in June. I might be. I'm waiting to
Yeah?
hear back on that. Mhm.
Nice.
Mhm.
I'm doing a panel tonight on the sound of Metal Gear at 7 p.m. If anybody wants to Google that, I'll be back here on
Ooh.
this couch.
Nice.
And then I'm going to be doing Comic Cons. I'm going to be doing Toronto Fan Expo and Edmonton, Chicago in July, and somewhere else.
Cool.
Jeez, look at your calendar filling up fast, eh?
Yeah, I'm going to be hopping around quite a bit.
My band is playing the Greek next month.
What? Oh my
I
god,
can't
that's
wait. I'm going to be there.
amazing.
Yeah.
You get to
one of
meet
the-
both
that's
of
one
us
of the
because I'm going to be at
greatest-
the front cheering you on.
Oh my god, that's so
That's
awesome.
amazing.
Thank you. It's for
Well
a
done.
private event, but who cares? I'm playing the
Dude,
Greek.
playing the Greek. That's an amazing venue. That's
That's
so
such
cool.
a great venue.
If you guys are in town, let me know.
When is it?
Sweet.
Maybe I'll fly in. No.
It's May 22nd.
my kid's birthday weekend.
Ah.
But yeah, that's
They'll
cool.
have another one next year. You're all right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, this is just the
That's
beginning
amazing.
for you guys over at Eye of the Sun. So we will we'll see you more.
Yeah.
Come to Vancouver so we can come see you. Or I guess I'm moving to Panama soon. So come to Panama so I can come see you.
Oh, right on.
Awesome. So this is actually a question for you, Sandra.
Ooh.
We've learned that you were actually a fan of Marvel before you actually appeared in the Marvel games. Before you were Kamala Khan, did you have any favorite Avenger, or is it just gonna be Captain America?
My favorite was Spider-Man.
Nice.
Because I think
Which
when I was
one?
the
Ah.
Tobey Maguire.
Sam Raimi, classic.
I don't know, like if it was what school I was in when that movie came out. I was in high school or something, but we went to see it in the theaters, and it was so cool because we did it without our parents, and we were just being so obnoxious, and we had such a great time. And then after I saw that movie, the first one, I was like, that is it, and I like bought the comic books, and I bought this little crop top that had Spider-Man comics all over, and I wore it last week. It still fits.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Spider-Man, and I love every single iteration of him. Like, there's never gonna be a bad word out of my mouth about Spider-Man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Dave, so with such ties to X-Men, here's one for you. Who's your favorite X person?
Well, I mean, obviously Wolverine is the key character, and we knew that when we were making the movies. At least I knew that, and I tried to explain it. I was like, "This is the linchpin of the whole series." But when I was 12, my friends and I were obsessed with the Chris Claremont X-Men comics, and I always played when we'd play X-Men. I was always Cyclops. So
Nice.
while nobody loves Cyclops, I do.
I knew it.
And it's because of me that he in X-Men 1 and X-Men 2 that he actually has a character and does stuff. And so I'm very, very fond of Scott Summers. In fact, I think I was called Scott Summers on my fake ID that I got when I was 7.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Love that.
Oh my god.
Oh man, Cyclops doesn't get the love he deserves. He's kind of like Leonardo and the Turtles. You know, he's the leader. He's the main linchpin of the team. He's like
I've now
the
worked out
gung-ho
why you
guy,
want to
you know?
hang out with Michael Cera, because you are effectively McLovin. That's what we've worked out.
I am McLovin. I am McLovin. That's right. That's right. I
With
was
your
gonna
fake
put
ID with the great
Muhammad
name on
on my
it.
fake ID. But I went with Scott.
Oh man, that's good. So this is kind of a general question for all of you, but you're all voice actors now. You're all doing what you love and now, but what did you want to be before? When you were a child, what did you want to be growing up, and how did that pan out for you? So let's start with Erik. Erik Braa.
Oh, I was convinced I was going to be a rock and roll star.
Nice.
You look like
Metal?
one.
Well, I mean, geez. Yeah, I'm old enough to have done a hair metal band, and yeah, it was super fun. I loved it. We didn't really go on tour. We thought we were close, then it fell apart, and that was the end of it. And then I played other bands through like the 90s and early 2000s, but no, not anymore. But yeah, I thought I was going to at one point, and yeah,
It sounds like you were though. At points in your life, you have been a rock and roll star.
Yeah.
Sort of, but not really. I mean, like we
Own
never
it.
really like made
Own
it, went
it,
on a
dude.
huge
I
tour. or
challenge you
anything
right
like that.
now.
Eric, have you ever stood on stage whilst people were screaming and shouting at the front of a rock gig and put your foot up on the monitor and wailed on a guitar?
Yeah, well, not the guitar, but yes. Well, actually, I did do the guitar as well. Yeah.
Are you a bass
Yeah,
player?
then you've been a rock star, definitely.
Oh no, I was the lead singer, and occasionally I would get to plunk away on a guitar. I'm not the greatest, but it helps me just keep time.
You're a rock star.
But yes, I've played a few shows. I've gotten to play the Whiskey in LA.
Oh,
You're a rock
amazing.
star.
You are.
Yeah, you've done it.
That's right. Although I
Erik.
want to see this hairband. I want pictures of this hairband though.
Oh man, I look like well, I look like now the guy that ate the young me, because I was much thinner. The idea of a beard at that time was no way would ever happen. Many things have changed since then.
And now the beard's like your whole identity. So I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty much become
Do you have a face under there? Or does it just end right here?
Nope, it just stops right here.
Wow.
Right there. Well, how about you, Jennifer? What did you want to be when you were growing up, and how did that pan out for you?
Oh my God. Well, when I was little, it was a veterinarian. And then,
cool.
first it was Save the World. Then it was veterinarian. And then it was singer and a songwriter, a lot of rock and roll sort of stuff. And I did that for quite a while. And then in my 20s, I had to choose between singing and acting was paying me money. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. Yeah. I've just started writing again.
One
actually,
question
and
for you.
putting stuff
One
out.
question from me, because we have some voice actors here. How many of us have done music?
Oh wow.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. There's a
All of us.
musicality to voiceover a lot of times, and even delivering a line, there's sometimes almost a a melody that you're going to use that
That's
makes it sound like a cool person saying something cool.
That's how I landed Cinderella. That's exactly how I landed Cinderella. I had done jingle singing before I moved to LA, and I went to the Cinderella audition when Eileen Woods had aged out of the role, and they were looking for the next Cinderella, and nobody else was in the lobby, and it was in the time of tape players, and I just kept rewinding and listening to the vocal clip, and I learned it like a jingle. I learned the melody of her vibe, and then I had her sort of soul going on in here, and that is total music. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of crossover in music, especially in animation too, because with animation, it's all about rhythm and timing for us as animators.
And we often,
gotta, go ahead.
sorry, we often sing for jobs. Like I've got characters that are singing characters that still go on.
A lot of that coming back now. A lot. I've had a load of auditions lately where you have to sing as well or give a singing sample. So I assume they're making a lot more musical content within animation, certainly.
On that, Jeff, do you feel that comedy has symbiotically helped your acting and vice versa with your timing?
Oh yeah, I mean, to echo what a number of people have already said previously, I think I don't really even put myself as a voice actor. I'm an actor. I'm an entertainer, and within that, there's the acting, there's the stand-up comedy, there's the voice acting, comic timing plays a huge part, especially if you're reading for a comic role, of course. But even the act outs that I do on stage are heavily influenced. I know they support one another. The voices that I do when I'm on stage, creating a character in a bit, is absolutely helped by the work that I'm doing in a booth, and vice versa. I know that certainly for a lot of commercial castings as well. I still get quite a few of those, and those are, it's often because I'm a comedian. I go, we'll need someone with great comic timing or someone who can do this character and really make it pop through the airwaves. And yeah. So they do help each other there.
Why don't you continue on there? And what did you want to be as a kid, and how did that pan out for you?
I just really wanted to be a panelist on an animation studio stream, and now that's complete.
Made it.
Ding ding.
It's over. I'm just going to throw this laptop out the window after that, and I'm done.
You're doing it.
Peace. I'm going to climb the Empire State Building and just,
You can thank Twitch for the
Everyone needs to
studio.
no,
Jeff Leach smash.
I am 6'4". I look pretty good hanging off the side of it. I think it'd be all right. I am hairy from head to toe, so it's just smooth
You
up
got it
to
all.
here, and then it just.
The Empire State Building, nothing but his stripper pole.
I've always wanted to be an entertainer. I think I realized very early on that without being too misery inducing, I realized I could garner love that I felt was missing elsewhere by entertaining people and making them laugh or making them happy. So I was definitely that kid who always started performing to just oh please, give me the right attention, give me that positive attention, laugh, smile, engage with me in some way. So yeah, it's just been that the entirety of my life. I've always been a self-absorbed little prick with insecurities, and now I can make money by excelling in that field, and that feels good.
Nice.
Even if my parents don't believe me.
That's validation.
Yeah. How about you, Dave? What did you want to be as a kid before you grew up and ended up here?
Well, I initially, how the hell did that happen? I initially.
How dare you accuse him of growing up? How dare you?
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. That's never really happened. I initially wanted to be Batman.
As we all did.
But I started taking martial arts. I started like painting bits of armor. Like I was prepping to do the whole thing. I didn't realize.
You trained with Ra's al Ghul for 5 years, didn't you?
I did. Well, the time in Nepal.
Good old Razi.
Was
well, actually, you lived in
inspiring.
Japan too at that stage too, didn't you?
Not at that stage. I by then I was a teenager, and I realized that being Batman was probably not a practical career choice. But I did. I kept studying martial arts in Japan. But that was more just because people.
I think you missed the
punching me
first
in the
step,
face.
though. You have to be like a rich person or something, so that
millionaire.
Batman doesn't get paid.
That's what I didn't
His superpowers inheritance. Yeah.
It was like that. Be Batman, profit. There's something missing in the middle.
Exactly.
The Underpants gnomes have
the Underpants
lied.
gnomes. So that's what I wanted to do. And then when Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, I wanted to be Harrison Ford. And when Risky Business came out, I wanted to be Tom Cruise. And so I was like, I'll just go to Hollywood, and when they get a look at all of this, I mean, it'll be easy. And then I went to my first Hollywood audition, and it was like 16 guys, and they were all so much better looking than me, and they all look like me, but just better and cooler. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Anyway, so I got to live out being an action hero through Guyver and Snake and all those things, and I found a more practical means of living as a screenwriter, which. All joking aside, I now I think about being Tom Cruise, and I'm like, what a nightmare that would be. I mean, the money is great, and working on those movies is great, but just like living your life just constantly in this bubble, I couldn't even imagine.
It's not a bubble; it's a closet he lives in.
That I have no comment on that whatsoever.
It's well appointed, though.
So yeah, very nice. As closets go. It's pretty comfortable. So now I have a very comfortable level of fame, and some people, love me and pay attention to me, and a lot of people don't, and it's really, really nice. So it's worked out nicely. It's an example of when you're a kid, you think, oh, wouldn't it be great to be Batman, or wouldn't it be great to be a movie star? And you don't really factor in the difficulty.
The logistics.
At all. Logistics.
Awesome. How about you, Sandra? What did you want to be as a kid, and how did that pan out for you?
Sorry, I had to mute myself because of the airplane flying over my house. I from like since I knew what an actor was, I wanted to be an actor. I wanted specifically to be a sitcom actor. I wanted to make people laugh. Because I grew up on Full House, and when I was a baby, so were Mary-Kate and Ashley. Or they're older than me, but I was watching them be funny as kids, and I was like, I could do that. And like, I'm a child of immigrants who were like, TV. No, you're not going to be on TV. Well, you don't watch TV. We're going to get you on algebra. And I was like, well, I hate algebra. So that's where that disconnect happens, because they're like, no, that's not real. Like, we don't get to do that. You see, on TV are people who look like Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, not us. We get to work really hard and maybe get a regular job. So I've always wanted to be an actor and make people laugh.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you stuck with it regardless of what people said, because again, it's that perseverance we were talking about in the beginning, regardless of obstacle. That's really the key to it. I know we wouldn't be sitting here talking with you guys if we had been listening to the people who just said, you can't do this on your own. You can't do this on your own. And you know what? I have learned that all of those people, most of them that said that to me, can't do it on their own, but I can. And I'm going to keep doing that. That's kind of how I look at it.
Hell yeah.
Do we ask you, Jen? I wasn't sure. Did we get to you asking what you did?
We did. Yep.
Yes.
We
Okay.
did.
Good. I didn't want to miss anybody. So I do have one other question. One from our audience here. Is there any particular projects that you guys auditioned for, got the role, but passed on and now regret?
Yes, and I will never say what it is.
Any you care to share, or is that?
Yeah, I auditioned for the role of Geralt of Rivia in the Witcher TV series, and I mean, they say that Henry Cavill got the offer, but I feel like they were leaning in my direction.
I think they were afraid of your power.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
No, you know what they were afraid of? That I'm 6'4", and if I'd stood on that next to anyone in that scene, and he's also
That's actually true.
he's also a Hollywood
as someone
A-lister
who's done a lot of
Superman, so
casting.
that probably helped. But yeah, no, I don't think I think any role that you. That's interesting. So you've turned down some good roles. See, I've very rarely turned down roles. I don't think I have the fortuitous situation to be in I've ever had that option yet.
I only turned it down because I had made a commitment to my son and to family, and the schedule could not be worked out, and I would have had to say no and let my son down. And so I was like,
Do you regret that decision, or did the son turn out all right?
He's about to be 12. So far, so good.
Parenting thing working out.
I've won the parenting lottery. I have the greatest kid.
Next time he argues with you, though, about going to bed on time, you just playing this clip.
I'm like,
go, remember what I did for you?
What I gave
Remember,
up for
Mommy
you?"
could have been.
No, but you know what? I always think about, like, it's going to sound really weird, but like death is, one of my mentors says, death is the greatest advisor. And I always think in that frame, like, dude, what am I going to remember at the end? Another job or my relationship with my kid?
Of course.
That's awesome. That's
Okay.
a very good way to look at it. Yeah.
Decision is
Priorities,
made.
right? It's all about those priorities.
Right.
Yep.
And also it helps somebody else get the lead in that. And it has been so powerful for that person. And that's how it was meant to go. Yeah.
How about you,
I did
Sandra?
another role in that project that was a great role. So yeah.
How about you, Sandra?
There was this audition I got that, like, I think that, like, I don't remember, it was a while ago, but like the casting director and I knew each other, and I was probably going to get it, but it was like a narration job. And at the time, I don't really do narration very much. And at the time, especially, I didn't have the time to do it. And I passed on the audition, and I was so busy. And then my friend was with me, and he was like, "What are you doing? You should do this. You should do the audition." I was like, "I just don't have the time." And he's like, "You never know what you're passing up." And Tom Michelson is also a voiceover actor, and he's such a great actor and like a comedy friend of mine, and he's so full of wisdom, and man, his voice is still ringing in my brain, because guess who was working on that project? Rami Malek, the love of my life. I don't know 100% even what it is anymore, because when I found out, I was like, I'm not gonna look at this anymore. It's just gonna hurt me. Yeah.
On
So
the plus
if,
side, you probably would never have seen each other, as we know. We spend time in booths on our own for the most part.
Yeah.
during COVID.
that's,
So
let me dream. But no, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
just do what normal people do
It's
and
not too
stalk
late,
his
my
social
dear.
media, find out where he is, and go and look inside his window when he's sleeping.
Invite him to the Greek. Invite him to the Greek.
There you
You
go.
know what?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's
If
right.
anyone's listening, tell him I love him. Thank you.
Okay. I'll get on that. I'll network my way
What's
up.
this?
just
He
so I
says
can tell
thank
him
you.
Huh?
What? Nothing.
What if he says thank you?
No, I said, what's this? Reading in the chat. He says
that.
thank
He
you.
says thank you. No.
Stop it. I don't see the chat. Don't play with my heart.
How about you, Eric? Did you have any things that you auditioned for that you were like, oh?
Well, I had one. I won't say what it was. I got the part, recorded a big section, and then they threw it all out, rewrote it, and recast.
No.
And
It happens.
I was super bummed. It was actually a character I was super excited to play. However, the good news is a friend of mine got it, and I'm very happy for them. So, you know
That's
what I
the
mean?
thing,
Like,
yeah,
I
that's
can't
awesome. You guys
complain.
keep
And
supporting each
as
other.
Jennifer said, like, you know, when she pointed out that it's the failures or the whatever, they're just the marks, the path on your way. And yeah, it's a part of my path. I didn't get that, but then other things have come my way that I'm very happy about. So
Nice. How about you, Dave? Anything?
Well, to Jeff's point about turning down The Witcher, I don't know. I don't know what it means to turn down an acting role. You know, acting is not my primary job. It's my love. I did audition for the part of the kid in Quick and the Dead, but they opted to go with what's his name, Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And
right, yeah.
and then I saw the movie and I was like, yeah,
And what's that guy even done since?
What's
Like,
he even done?
Yeah,
What's he even
really.
exactly. I also auditioned to play the lead in School Ties, which made Brendan Fraser's career, and not mine. But those obviously needed to go to those people. As a writer, I have turned down many movies. I've been lucky enough to be, you know, a busy screenwriter. Paramount asked me if I would write John Carter of Mars, and I read the book and I was like, this cannot be a movie. You should not do this on any
This cannot be.
And as we
level.
learned, they shouldn't have done it.
And so the movies that I've turned down writing that turned out horrible because I knew, I was like, there's no, this is a crime against humanity.
You could have saved him, though. You could have been the savior.
The problem with John Carter of Mars was the book had been ripped off by every sci-fi movie for 100 years, and we knew at that point, I'm pretty sure we knew at that point that there were not fuzzy white apes on Mars. And I was like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And so I did tell them, I was like, please don't do this. And then they did. And, I felt good about that decision.
Nice. That was a great little story. I like that anecdote. That's a good one.
No, I've turned down a bunch of movies, and I think pretty much all of them. Well, I turned down, actually, the one I regret, I turned down, they asked me recently if I'd write Call of the Wild. And I said, so I read the book and I was like, oh my God, this book is amazing about this dog and who just gets, you know, in with this pack of wolves. And it's just an incredible story. The book is amazing. And then they said, well, we're not going to do that. We're just going to have it's going to be about a guy and he gets a dog. And so I was like, oh, well, I don't know what that is. I'm not doing that. And I'm like, you'll never get this made. And then they cast Harrison Ford in it and they made it like the next year. So I didn't see it. Maybe it's terrible. I don't know. But the fact that one got made so quickly, I was like, I probably should have.
Might have been Harrison Ford that made it so quick, you know, just having that name there. Like, yeah, do it.
Yeah, well, you never know, you know, if an element is going to pop in that's just going to get the movie greenlit. And I felt like it was going to be a 2, 4, 5 year slog, you know, mutilating this amazing book and never getting made. And the fact that it got made so quickly, I was like, well, I would have loved to have done a Harrison Ford movie. But so I guess that's the only one I regret.
I have a question.
Yeah, give her.
David, you reminded me of this. So you said you didn't watch it. I have this thing that I do, and I it's starting to be like a little bit too much. Maybe I'd love your all's advice to see if you do it too. If ever I audition for something that I get really close to or that I start to get attached to, I can't watch it when it comes out, and I almost can't hear anything about it. Um, do you guys do the same thing, or like how do you guys navigate that?
I mean, dude, self-torture is a thing in this career, right? And one of the things that saved me early on is I really got super clear and super disciplined about what I can control and what I can't control. And if I focus on the stuff that I can't control and that wasn't mine, belonged to somebody else, I start to feel bad and I bring my frequency down and I bring my joy down. So it's just, it was a discipline, just like move your attention, move it, eyeballs, eyes
Mhm.
on your own paper, eyes on your own paper, support yourself. It's just, you just move it, but you have to move it to something. You can't, the way the mind is constructed, it's like a computer, right? You can't just, it's like a 2-year-old. Don't do that. Don't play with the car keys. No, give them something else to play with. So give
Right.
your mind something else to play with. Like, okay, 3 things I'm proud of today. 3 things I did well. I love the sky. What am I grateful for? Just anything. Doesn't matter how trite. What's for dinner? Did I clean that thing up? Like, just discipline yourself because it's your habits that will make or break you. And like Dave, when you were talking a second ago, it's one of my favorite things about you as a human, your certainty in yourself. Like you don't second guess yourself ever. Well, I'm sure you're human, but it's just you have such a powerful practice of not doing it. You have such a powerful practice of your own convictions. You have the courage of your own convictions, and that is so powerful.
Yeah, well,
Also,
I agree.
oh, sorry, go ahead, David.
Well, I was just gonna, to what Jennifer was saying, it's more about, I certainly second guess myself, and I certainly have made mistakes and things I wish I'd done
Wait, what?
differently. Yeah, you heard it here first.
We gotta clip
But
that.
but it's what you're saying, and to Sandra's question. Yeah, it's painful when you could have been the one and somebody else is doing it. It's doubly painful when they're not doing it well, and you could have done it better. And
Yeah.
um, there's certainly an actor or two where I'm like, come on,
But you also
them
know
and
that
not
that's
me.
down to certain other elements completely, like Jennifer said, out of your control. A relationship between an agent and a casting agent, some
Totally.
nepotism. You get this actor if you take this other actor. It's just,
Yeah.
it's so many
I
things that
mean,
you.
you could tell yourself all those things, right? And they all make sense and they're all real, but and you can also tell yourself, I'm just not going to be attached to any of these auditions or any of these roles, but
No, you can't
really,
do
I mean,
that.
we have a heart.
You,
Yeah.
you need to put
Yeah.
your heart into it. You need to put your
Yeah.
soul into it. But it's not worth the pain of cutting yourself down over it. It's
Right.
just not.
Yeah.
And you
That's
and remember, every time that happens, remember the people watching you as Miss Marvel going, that could have been me, or whatever.
right.
No, it couldn't have been you. It's Sandra, and that's who it is. And
Yeah.
so there's plenty of people out there looking at you and saying, "Oh God, I wish it was me," but it's not beneficial to give that too much weight. It just
Yeah.
it just isn't. These things come and go, and over the course of a career, there'll be things that you get that will change your life. There'll be things that you lose that could have changed your life, but you don't know. There's no point following those threads or beating yourself up over it.
You're right.
So
That is
it's
neat.
not so much certainty for me. It's equanimity.
Yeah.
It's just that's the way
Yeah.
it went. I'm happy for Leo DiCaprio. I hope he keeps working.
Don't worry, he will.
And yeah, and so that's how I feel about it. And
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Well,
also think there's an
everyone.
element.
don't take it too
Oh,
personally.
Yeah, it's not about you. And I mean, it's that second arrow thing. Like it's that pain is part of life, but suffering is optional. The first
Yeah.
arrow hits you
That's
and you're
good.
like, oh, because I've had that, like, oh man, whoo. And just be like, let that pain move through and honor it and go, whoa, man, holy moly. Whew, that was a thing. I get 10 minutes to suffer over this. And after 3 minutes, I'm bored and I move on.
Exactly.
But I really let okay, you can have like, I love learning about money and practicing and growing money. And I was working on a real estate deal and I had put a lot of time in on it. I mean, weeks. And at the last minute, it went another way. And I was like, okay, you get a half an hour to suffer. And after 5 minutes, I was like, anyway, just like, but that second arrow is the rumination. Those are the habits that sink you and move you down.
Yeah.
Right. And we have so many habits that have just happened and we don't even realize it. But the minute we become present to that those habits exist in our head, we have oxygen. We have an opportunity to go, oh, wait, I can rewrite that. I got to do that,
I have a little mantra as well, which is has taken me a few years to start to put into implementation. But if I'm so worried about what someone else is doing, what job they've got going on, someone who is less talented in my subjective opinion, which is only a subjective opinion, it's definitely not objective. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got the job in the first place. Or I start worrying about some of these back end, deals and nepotism and all that bullshit. If I'm doing that, what I'm not doing is working on my own shit. I'm not creating my own thing. So I allow myself, like Jennifer says, a little bit of time, but I just have to remind myself, as soon as I feel myself going into that dark place or that self-loathing place, because it's all ego related. It's all related to your ego. That's all it is. Your internal voice telling you, yeah, you should have got me. And as soon as you start feeling that, you just go, I'm worrying about what other people are doing rather than getting on with what I need to be doing.
Yeah,
go write something,
100%.
go create something, go hit up some friends who are great and ask them if they want to do a project together. Go create a new reel, go do whatever you need to do. Get out and do it.
Yeah.
And like from my point of view, Sandra, to point to your question, I mean, I'm not a voice actor in that respect, but I still do see the stuff I make produce. Like I worked on Dan Harmon's Harmon Quest, a live action D&D animated hybrid show.
Congrats.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. I did all the season 2 on that with them. And it was an amazing experience. And when I finally got to watch it, I'm always picking at, I could have animated that, then I could have spun her this way and showed more of the face to get better silhouettes or like. And I think you're kind of striking the nerve every artist.
I actually had the same notes for you, bro. I'm so sorry, and I should have given you time. I apologize for not hitting you up sooner.
It really is that kind of starving artist mentality. I think we all grew up in as we struggled to get to the breaking point and pushing past that barrier to entry, and you still have that self-doubt. And so when you watch yourself, instead of watching the content for the story it's telling and the amazing absorbing characters there are, you're looking at your performance and you're missing out on that side. And it becomes more of like, where could I have improved? Because we all want to improve. And so you're looking at yourself like, and instead of looking at it as a mistake, watch it instead of being like, I made a mistake there, or I'm worried about how my performance was. Look at it constructively for yourself. As if you were standing aside from it and saying, if I was not Sandra Saad and I'm watching her to act, these are the advice I would give them, and then you can improve yourself from there. And when I changed my internal dialogue to start thinking more on, I'm supporting myself as a mentor by watching this, it made it a lot easier to get through.
And there's that great thing from Ted Lasso, be a goldfish.
Yeah. Love it. So good.
And
Also,
speaking of,
go ahead.
Go
Sorry. It was down to me and now I can't remember his name. Which is not great. It was down to me and Jonathan Sheck for the lead in a movie called The Doom Generation, and I didn't get it, and I tanked the audition because they sort of threw a monkey wrench into the thing at the last minute. I wasn't prepared for, and I screwed it up and didn't get it. And the next year, Jonathan Sheck was on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and that really hurt me. And I was like, it could have been me. Fucked it up. And literally, if I had gotten that movie, I wouldn't have ended up writing X-Men. The timing would have not been the same.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would I rather be the screenwriter I am today, or would I rather be, the star of the Doom Generation, which again, amazing, and I'm so glad he got it. But in the course of history, I'm like, it was so much better that I didn't get it. But it really hurt me at the time. I was like,
it's amazing how the struggles and the missed opportunities or the failures can actually spawn into bigger, better opportunity, and I think another
journey is going to evolve,
Yeah. And I think
it goes back to what Jennifer said was the long game.
Yeah, it's the long game. Yeah.
And there's enough to go around.
Failing
There's
upward.
so much to go around. There's so much coming, and there's so much out there.
Especially with animation and video games blowing up right now. Like we're starting a new age of video games with Unreal Engine 5. We're starting a new age of animation, with Unreal 5, as well as Toon Boom Harmony and all this other software. Like there's going to be so much work for indies and professionals. And I think a really good takeaway from what Dave was saying is that even as a top tier professional working the industry, there's still missed opportunities. There's still failures and struggles. It's like that never goes away, even regardless of how famous and successful you become. But you shouldn't let them define you. You should define them, you know?
Well, so
were you
everything
gonna
that
say,
you've
Sandra?
done is a snapshot at what you knew during the time you made the thing, what you didn't know, like things you forget that you knew that you were better at back when you made the thing, and things you've seen that you've improved on. You're a musician, you listen to your old stuff and you're like, man, I really don't like that, but also like some of those melodies were better as an idea form. So like visiting upon your past self isn't necessarily negative if you view it in the point of the long game, like Jennifer said.
Yeah, exactly.
A friend of mine, my friend Jack, a very wise man, was trying to tell me that, and I'm going to totally butcher this, but you know, if you're in a high-speed car chase, right? And you're driving, and you're panicked and you're looking around and you can't really see what's going on. And you know, there's police behind you and you've got your destination, you're going, and you don't know when it's going to end. You don't know exactly who's around you where. And same thing with the police, right? They can only see so far, but that helicopter on top is seeing everything. We don't get to be the helicopter right now because we're in the middle of it. So I just got to remember.
I resent that because I actually identify as an Apache helicopter.
Yes, you are very tall, Jeff. We get it.
But now you look like the Terminator, so you're with me in the apocalypse.
Nice.
You need
But we
your
don't-
guitars and your motorcycle.
We don't get to see
Maybe you close your boots in your motorcycle.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our event today. I have to say a special thank you to all of our actors, to Dave, to Jennifer, to Sandra, to Jeff, to Erik. Thank you so much for coming and being here and supporting our indie studio. Thank you especially for supporting artists as they grow by giving advice and showing up to these cons and encouraging and inspiring the next generation of actors and voice actors. You guys are a pillar of excellence, in my opinion. You guys are the cream of the crop. You all have such excellent morals and an excellent idea of how the world should be, and you portray that through your work. You portray that through your inspiration of other artists, and I'm just so honored to be a part of that. Me and Natalie both really are. So thank you for coming on today, number one. Is there any last remarks you guys would like to say?
Thank you for having us. Thank you to everybody out there.
It's a real pleasure to get to sit and talk with some people that I highly respect within my own industry. So thank you for bringing us all together today. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you, guys.
And Natalie.
Awesome, guys. Well, we will do more of these in the future. I hope we will have you guys back sometime. Maybe we can get some one-on-ones and have some more intimate conversations about all your guys' inspiration in the future. But for now, all the best of luck to all of you in all your creative endeavors. Have fun at the Greek, Sandra. That's going to be awesome. And we will see all of you guys later. We're going to do a post show now. We're going to do a bit of hangout session. Any of the voice actors who want to hang out with us after, feel free to stick around. And we're just going to talk about inspiration and art and the stuff that we're working on at Twitch Pixel, and just keep the flow going here. So thank you everybody for showing up. We will see all of you later, and we're going to play a short video now, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So nice to speak with you all.
Yes.
Woo! Right, Mike?
Right?
Woo!
I need to process that whole thing. I'm gonna need about 2 weeks, Jeff. We'll talk later.
You wanna hang out? What's up, Mr. Braa?
Eric, what up, dude?
How you doing?
Sandra, you want to hang out a little
Hey!
bit?
Yeah, I was just about to message you. I'll hang for a little bit.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. Oh, we got Mr. Leach back too. Awesome.
Oh, come here, Jeff. Hey, what up, dude?
Hey.
No one likes me in this city. I have nothing to do.
Well, Well, guys, that was a lot of freaking fun.
Wow.
That was a lot of fun. I loved hearing everybody's insights and stuff. Jennifer and Dave has been such an inspiration. Like, I grew up playing Metal Gear. Like, we used to play Metal Gear Solid in my backyard under cardboard boxes. Like, what? And then I got to hang out with them, and then I got to start making cartoons with them, and then we're writing a show together. I'm like, what's happening? And then now I'm hanging out with all you guys because of it. So
I'm literally hopping on Twitter right now to make sure I follow everyone.
Nice.
Who was involved in the panel, just because it was really nice. That was a really nice chat. And I know I said it during your session, but you do a lot of these kind of things, and they're always very fun, and they're always very upbeat and positive. But often some of the advice that's given can be very wishy-washy, can be a little muted, shall we say? You know, a little. Everyone's too worried about what's being said to actually give any real advice to viewers who are watching. That wasn't the case today. It was great. Really, really good.
Yeah,
so,
I love that too. I mean, Jennifer
that.
is a straight shooter. She's always been super honest and upfront, which I love.
Yeah, she private messaged me already and said she hated me. So I appreciate that she's. She was like, "Never speak to me again."
Get my name out your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Keep
Oh my
my
goodness.
Well, what a pool of talent. I mean, just you three alone hanging out here is awesome. Like you three have been. I mean, you're up and coming too. I mean, we know David and Jennifer from our childhoods together, but I mean, for you guys, it must be interesting kind of being in the industry, and like you guys don't actually generally work in the same room, as you were saying, usually in a booth, but so it must be nice having these kind of events to kind of see the rest of the community and reach out to people like Dave and Jennifer. So how was that for you guys?
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, oh, sorry, Sandra, after you.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that, yeah, the only time I ever get to see other actors, or the only other work I've done with actors, is obviously when we're doing mocap, you know?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I'm on an acting job. The rest of the time, it's normally sitting in a booth on your own and trying to. Actually, there was one. You know what? Yeah. Anyway, it was lovely for that reason. I just like being around people. I think we're also at the end of 3 years of COVID. You know what I mean? And
yeah, right.
At the end of it, are we not? We're not quite sure. So the concept that you get to just see people and socialize. I mean, Strato and I have done this many times because we play Dungeons and Dragons together once a week, and so we get to see each other on a little screen and you know, do this same thing. But it is nice doing it with other folks who like whose work you respect. Obviously, Sandra and I are personal friends already, but I hope that will happen with Erik and the other panelists, because they're good people, like good people.
Yeah.
That was evident.
Yeah.
Good people. Yeah. What about you, Sandra?
Yeah, it was super fun. It can be kind of isolating sometimes, right? Because you don't, especially in the last couple years, like you just go in, like you wave at the engineer in the room, and then like you video in with the clients, like they're not even there, right? And you do your thing for 4 hours and you leave, but it's really nice kind of speaking the same language with the people who understand it. And like Jeff was saying earlier, it really does help to have friends who do the same thing, and to like compare notes with each other, and like to talk about the difficulties and the wins, and to celebrate each other. And it is so nice and helpful. And yeah, I'm very thankful that Jeff and I are basically the up and coming Jennifer Hale and David Hayter. So
there you go.
No, I'm the up and coming Erik Braa. That's why.
No, you gotta get a beard, bud. You don't even have it.
Dude, I'm ready. No, I'm still in the hair metal phase, except without the hair. This is just I've got the clean shaven, but give me a few more years.
I'm trying to be Erik Braa rock star right now, dude.
Oh, you're killing me. You are the rock star. I don't know what you're talking about. You play the Greek, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I just feel grateful to even be included in this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, come on.
No. I mean,